Oh, we're back. That's great. Well, stuff happens, right? We had a bit of an outage here at Edmonton Sports Talk. Might have affected some other people in the city as well. So, hey, we apologize, but we're back. Stuff happens. Show keeps going. Reid Wilkins Show with Jay Milne here on Edmonton Sports Talk in the James H. Brown studio. James H. Brown Personal Injury Law Firm, the heavy hitters of injury law. With over 200 years of experience, James H. Brown will get you the settlement you deserve. Visit them at jameshbrown.com today and book your private consultation. As we were talking about the dramatic turnaround of the U of A Golden Bears football team, well, it took several years. Maybe I shouldn't say dramatic, gradual, and is thanks to some persistent work by head coach Chris Morris and other key people within the program, Jay. But you were talking about being part of the alumni and seeing how all this happened.
Yeah, it was troubling. It was very bad for quite a few years. So to have a guy like Chris Morris come in that changed the culture first and said, look, we're going to have some lean years here, but we've got to change the culture, get back to, building winning ways. Then everything kind of kept going and kept molding under his tutelage. And now you get to the point where you are. This is not maybe they will. No, they are a legitimate Vanier Cup contender right now.
Absolutely. Now, because I mentioned Chris, 12 years, 11 seasons, because the 2020 they didn't play any games. So really 12 years. And his first few years, they still weren't very good. And I remember, when I was doing Inside Sports, I'd have Chris on when he's in years 3, 4, and 5, and they're still, maybe missing the playoffs or, losing badly or losing in the semifinal. And I know people be like, why do you have this guy on? Like, how long does it take? But when you look back and say, yeah, it takes that long coming from where they were. Like, you talk a lot about patience, but I mean, now you look back and say, well, thank God they didn't give up on Chris out. I mean, we knew he wasn't going to give up, but it takes a long time to really turn it around at the U Sports level.
It does. It takes it takes, a full system change, which could be 4 or 5 years to get players that when Chris came in, that was the team he had. And then he had to start the recruiting process, bring in players that he thought would buy into the culture, buy into what they were doing and where they wanted to go. And that, that changeover can take as much as 4 years. So, yeah, I'm not surprised to see that it's taken. I mean, this is his 11th season as head coach at the University of Alberta. Last year, they got to the Hardy Cup final. Well, that was the first time in a long time.
Well, since
06.
You were on, yeah.
So, we're talking 19 years here, 20, or 15, 16 years. That's not good.
Right.
That's not acceptable, especially at the University of Alberta, where athletics is the star of the show, and in every other hockey, volleyball, basketball, doesn't matter, women's or men's, they're always competitive, but football was lagging for so long.
Yeah. You're right. It's a school in which in any given year, maybe not every team, but several teams are certainly Canada West contenders and often national championship contenders. And the football team was this also ran, and their story was, well, how bad are they going to lose this week? I always say when it comes to university sports, you can win a lot of games in the off season, and that's recruiting. So you're a high school star in wherever, Edmonton, Calgary, or pick a rural community. Calgary calls you and Alberta calls you. And you look at the stats for the last few years. Oh, Calgary beat them 71-3. I wonder which school is more appealing.
Well,
right? Like it would have been a tough recruiting sell.
Trust me, he had that problem with recruiting. Absolutely. Yes. That players would say, look, coach, I like you. I think I like what you're doing. I like that you played professional football and that you were this nasty offensive lineman, but look at the team. I mean, how do I buy into this? So he had to force that culture with local guys. Namely, we were talking about Ed Olnicki earlier and guys like Justin Lawrence and Mark Cordy. They all came in the same recruiting class. Mm-hmm. All three of them. Ed Olnicki won the Heck Crichton.
Yep.
Justin Lawrence has 3 Grey Cups. Mark Cordy is the starting center for the Edmonton Elks. I mean, those guys all came up with Chris, and he would talk very highly of them. So it takes time. But I mean, now they're heading into last week. They were ranked 6th in the country. I'd imagine now that when the rankings come out, they're going to be top 5, no problem.
Yeah, it's much better to talk about as opposed to the preseason expectation of like, well, are you going to win 2 games? Can you win 1? To now, and of course you got to get there. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but they beat UBC on the road. They're heavily favored at home against Calgary this weekend. We're going to go to that game, and you expect them to beat Calgary soundly if they play to their potential.
Yes.
Which is a complete turnaround from 6-7 years ago when it would have been.
Wait, are we talking about the Bears or the Elks?
But we're talking about Bears right now.
Because it could be both.
You expect both. you have high expectations for the Elks this week.
It very well could be both, which would just be beautiful to see because we haven't seen that in, well, I mean, it's been a while since pure domination over Calgary. So we will actually absolutely take that as fans of our Golden Bears, right, Maddie? Our Golden Bears. Maddie is an honorary Golden Bear.
I hope so.
Alum. Actually, Chris knighted him on the Hangout a few weeks ago.
Amazing.
And now he's officially in.
We'll have to get him to dress up as Gooba. I had to dress up as Smash Mass. So when you talk about a winning culture at the university level, where a player will be there maximum 5 years. So, there will be changeover. It's inevitable. It's not like you can have a same player on an NFL or NHL team for 15 years, maybe. What's the key thing so you had a pretty good generation at the Golden Bears, dropped off. How does Chris keep it going?
Recruiting.
Just keep recruiting, just keep building.
Because now you're at the position where you can recruit who you want. You don't have to recruit who you get. Now you can pick and choose and say, okay, I like this, this kid can run the ball well, but is he going to fit in with our system and our style? And I think we have Chris. And just a reminder, this is presented to you from the James H. Brown personal injury law firm. We do not. Okay. The heavy hitters of injury law with over 200 years of experience. And James H. Brown will get you the settlement you deserve. Visit them at jameshbrown.com today and book your private consultation.
There's apparently a big power outage in South Edmonton, and he's saying they're a power outage, but they're having to evacuate the building. He's trying to get everyone out of the building. So he's kind of a little busy.
So stuff's going on.
Yes.
Okay, so we had a bit of a glitch here, but luckily we're back. So, all right. Well, I guess that's something.
Well, I'm seeing a lot of this. The Rob in the Grove says almost 50% of the South Side is out.
Wow.
What is happening? I don't know how to explain that. I don't understand.
We're not on the south side, but obviously that's crazy. Okay, well, so there's other priorities today for Chris. I guess if they got to get out of their building at the U of A. All right, so we'll keep an eye on that. Maybe we'll connect with them tomorrow or later in the show.
Maybe later in the show. We'll see.
Something's going on there with a massive, sounds like a large power outage. In the city of Edmonton.
I would imagine that he's going to have to be heading out on the field soon enough, but maybe he'll come on and join us an hour or two. Hard to say. But yeah, you know what? This is now a team, and that team has all of their offensive line back, from which was a solid offensive line. They had 2 rushers last week in Matthew Peterson and O.P. Oshinubi. Matthew Peterson rushed 1,917 yards. O.P. Oshinubi, 8 for 72 and a touchdown. Eli Hetlinger, local kid out of Harry Ainley, 17 and 22, 250 yards, 2 tutties passed. I mean, this team is rolling. And that's up against who was, supposed to be the favorite, not the heavy favorite, but the favorite coming out of Canada West.
The top 2 teams played in the first week of the season, and the Bears beat them.
Absolutely.
So they're off and running. All right, here's what we're going to do. First of all, I guess if you're experiencing power outage, you may not be able to be listening to this live. But if you're still getting us live or on a podcast, hopefully you're doing okay and you are getting through or have got through a bit of a power outage, which something affected us a few minutes ago as we were knocked off the air, but we are back right now. We got plenty more to get to. We're going to update your off-topic thoughts, do your cast for a movie about the current edition of the Edmonton Oilers, 3 to 5 players. You don't have to do the whole team. We're going to have my top 3, which is going to be based around sports movies. We'll dive into that as well. And we've been talking optimistically about the Edmonton Elks and them having a very good chance to make the playoffs. Well, Jay has broken down how exactly they are going to do that. We'll also have Matt with a sports update. You're listening to the Reid Wilkins Show with Jay Milne.
Few of us can say that we're over 60 and still hot, but Mr. Mike's Burger can. And to celebrate over 60 years of Mr. Mike's famous burger, you're invited to taste history for only $8.99 at Mike Burger Madness. Savor the original flame-grilled Mike Burger on their signature garlic French loaf for a limited time. Dine-in only price of just $8.99. Sides extra. It's Mr. Mike's Mike Burger Madness, and you'd be mad to miss it. Offer ends September 30th. Eat locally, enjoy casually.
If you've been injured in a car collision, let James H. Brown and Associates, Alberta Injury Lawyers, protect your interests. They'll be there every step of the way to help answer your questions and help you get your life back on track. Trust Alberta's precedent-setting injury lawyers with their unrivaled experience, unrivaled results, and unrivaled commitment. When accidents happen, call James H. Brown and Associates, Alberta Injury Lawyers, 780-428-0088, or go to jameshbrown.com.
Since 1952, William Huff has been the heartbeat of Edmonton's advertising world. From humble beginnings to a citywide powerhouse, we've been the go-to for print, design, and installation. Partnering with Edmonton's top sports franchises and major events, we've helped shape the city's global reputation. Our secret? Unmatched customer service, decades of expertise, and a passion for excellence we call the William Huff Advantage. For advertising solutions that stand out, choose William Huff. Visit us at williamhuff.com.
At A&W, you can start the morning off right with a regular coffee and an egger of your choice for just $4.99. Bacon and egger or sausage and egger on a seeded bun or an English muffin? The choice is yours. But we know it'll be tasty either way. And to make matters even more delicious, this offer is available all day. But don't snooze on this deal. An egger and a regular coffee for only $4.99 is a limited time price. Available at participating A&W restaurants in Greater Edmonton.
Edmonton Elks quarterback McLeod Bethel-Thompson and Curly Gittins Jr. wide receiver were named to the Week 13 CFL honors list. MBT was also the top offensive performance following his 486-yard, 3-touchdown game as he led the Elks to their Labor Day win over the Stampeders. Bomber quarterback Zach Collaros was QB1 at practice today as Winnipeg prepares for the rematch with the Riders on Saturday. Collaros left the game this past Sunday in the first half after taking a helmet-to-helmet hit. Damar Hamlin will start at safety for the Buffalo Bills Week 1 game against the Cardinals, marking his first start since he went into cardiac arrest during a game back in January of 2023. It's the PGA versus Live as Rory McIlroy and Scotty Scheffler will get set to battle Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau in the next installment of the match, which will take place out in Las Vegas in mid-December. And the Toronto Blue Jays dropped their second of a 2-game series against the Philadelphia Phillies, losing a 4-2 as the Phillies sweep the series. This ESD Sports Update is brought to you by Wheeler's RV Storage, conveniently located 5 minutes east of St. Albert. Wheeler's RV is your safe and secure place to store your RV, boat, or whatever it is you want to store. Visit them at wheelersrvstorage.com to take advantage of their limited time offer. Buy 6 months, get 1 month free. Go to wheelersrvstorage.com today and get your storage needs taken care of. Coming up next, it's the start of Hour 2 of the Reid Wilkins Show with Jay Milne. I'm Adam Wanek. You're up to date.
I'm on the Epicor site here, and kind of, well, it's not like a perfect rectangle, but sort of straight down the middle of the south side. This is off the Epicor site. The power is out. A buddy living downtown just texted me and said, "I'm getting you guys. Power's still on downtown." Yeah. So
I will. Yeah. So it looks like the area south of the university definitely lost power. Estimated restoration is right around now. Affected customers, 11,354. Then we go into the further south, Bears Paw, Calgary Trail South, Millwoods Park, Parsons Industrial. That may not be restored till 6:30.
Wow. Okay.
Affected customers, 13,196.
Okay.
Then we go to this interesting neighborhood, which I had to Google to find out. The Homesteader neighborhood lost power today at 11:22 a.m. Estimated restoration time is today at 5 p.m., but it's still out. Affected customers, 1.
What?
1 customer is affected in the Homesteader.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Reid,
Well,
we must go.
We must help him or her. Okay.
I don't know how to explain that.
All right. But yeah, so something kind of a little goofy has been going on here, but hopefully everybody is safe and sound. And I know we're a sports show, but I mean, it's not when there's about 25,000 people affected or customers affected, probably more people because that'd be EPCOR customers. And I've seen some tweets here that some traffic lights are out, some businesses are out of power. So that's, hopefully everybody's okay. And remember to be
it's
safe
still
when
light
you're
outside.
driving.
Too.
Yeah, it's still light outside.
Thankfully.
So people aren't in the dark.
Yeah.
Thankfully. But okay. We're rolling along here with the Reid Wilkins Show with Jay Milne. He is Jay. I am Reid. Of course, you can listen on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. iHeartRadio, get the app. TuneIn Radio, get the app. You can watch us on YouTube. Hello to everybody who is watching. I think my chair is at an appropriate height today.
I like it
that
better.
was apparently an issue. I didn't
Yes.
have an issue. I do feel higher up today. My feet are not, I'm a little higher up today.
Bison Mask Guy in the Paris Jeweler inbox, 780-218-9999.
Oh, I remember
Reid
him.
Wilkins is too powerful for the grid.
Like Electro. Gonna overload the grid. I have you now, Spider-Man. I've absorbed the power grid from parts of South Edmonton and have affected 1 customer in Homesteader.
Homesteader is apparently it's a small community north of
I want to
Yellowhead.
destroy you, Spider-Man, but affecting as little less EPCOR customers as possible. Very thoughtful supervillain. All right. 780-218-9999. Yeah, we got to roll with it. Stuff like this happens, unfortunately. All right. So we have. So we're gonna well, you're gonna be working Saturday, but we're gonna go to both games. After we're done on Friday, we're gonna go to Footfield and watch the Bears. Hopefully, send the Dinos back into extinction.
Yeah, I expect we'll be able to leave by half. Just gonna say that.
You think it'll be over?
Yeah.
And then Saturday at 4, you and Awanak have the Green and Gold kickoff show. The game is at 5. Elks versus the Stampeders. So here's the thing. The Elks have won 4 of their last 5. To me, clearly their best game of the season on Saturday, or pardon me, on Monday, the Labor Day game in Calgary. They're 4-8, which in of itself is not a good record, but they're trending in the right direction. And as we've been talking about, don't forget the West Division, the first place teams, Winnipeg has the tiebreaker, but Winnipeg and BC are both 6-6. Saskatchewan is 5-6-1. Calgary is still placed ahead of the Elks because they have a game in hand, but they also have 4 wins. So it's there for Edmonton to make the playoffs. I said this when we did a couple of rehearsal shows last week, and I said if Edmonton was 4-8, but the playoff cut line is 7-4, and the first place team is 9-3, I'm not very optimistic. But I think 8-10 can get them in. But you've taken a closer look at I don't know if you have a path or paths to the postseason.
Well, just to break down Edmonton's remaining schedule, this gives me confidence that this team can soundly make the playoffs. And Maddie, I'd want you to be as involved with this as you can, as you are the host of the Elks or the Green and Gold kickoff show, and have been following the team very closely.
He's trying to solve the power outage right now. He's logging in. He's like Matthew Broderick in War Games. Was that Broderick in War Games?
Never seen it.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. I don't watch a lot of movies. You'll find that about me. I watch a lot of documentaries, not so much movies. Okay, so I'm going to say that they're going to beat Calgary. They're going to sweep Calgary. From what I saw from Calgary, I do not see enough to say that they're going to pose any sort of a threat to Edmonton. They get them one more time. Well, obviously Saturday at home, and then one more time at McMahon. But I think by that time, Calgary's going to be out of the playoff picture. They're going to be starting Bonner probably, or whichever quarterback they have. I'm going to take those 2 wins. I think they have I know they have a home and away against Winnipeg that's coming up. I'm going to say that's a split. Okay, so there's 3 wins. You're not taking a split.
No, I would have. Well, I'll let you. Yeah, I'm kind of interrupting you, but Winnipeg's good.
Winnipeg is good. But Edmonton's good. Don't forget this. That is the key here, is that this team is good. This team is trending up. This is one of the hottest teams in the CFL right now. So I understand that they are good. And, as Maddie said on the sports update, Zach Collaros is taking starting snaps in Winnipeg. But this team is good. And they're rolling. They're going to roll through Calgary. Then that is going to be a heck of a game when they go to Winnipeg, right? Toronto at the end of the year, I have that marked as a W as well. The only question mark I have is versus Saskatchewan in 5 weeks, because they have a bye in between now and then. Even if they lose to Saskatchewan, they lose once to Winnipeg, they're 8-10. They're in the playoffs,
which I think gets them in.
If they can beat Saskatchewan, they could be 9-9. And then you're contending for possibly a home playoff game in the Western semifinal. Riddle me that.
Well, I think second is the ceiling. I don't think they can finish first.
No,
because
I said
other teams are going to win games.
in the semifinal.
I get it.
Because you look at Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan's got to play. They get Calgary twice, but they get Winnipeg, Ottawa, and BC. I think BC is also trending up. I think it's going to be a second place battle between BC and Edmonton. But BC, when you look at their schedule, has Montreal twice,
including this weekend,
in the final 6 games, and Saskatchewan. So, BC could. I think realistically, Edmonton will finish third in the Western Division. I think that is fair to say. I do not think Calgary is even in the picture. I'm sorry.
You didn't even do their remaining schedule.
I didn't even put them on the list.
8 losses or
I
7 games left.
They may catch a win here or there, but I mean, if Edmonton goes out and lays an egg on Saturday, I would be shocked. But I just see 2 teams that are trending in the opposite directions. And Edmonton is playing good team football right now. So, yeah, I don't see it. Now, you disagreed with me. You think Winnipeg's going to sweep them.
Well, I don't necessarily think that, but I think those are going to be very difficult games. The Bombers have won 10 consecutive games against the Elks. The last time Edmonton beat Winnipeg was November 3rd, 2018. Now, I know that has nothing to do with the results coming up this season. I'm just saying this hasn't been a good matchup. It's been a great era for Blue Bombers football. It's been a bad era of Double E football. And I still think, I know BC has Rourke, and he finally appeared to be Nathan Rourke in Victoria.
Yes, he did.
His first 2 games weren't very good. No, he played Winnipeg one of those games, but his first 2 games weren't very good. He appears to be, and again, he really didn't play pro football for a couple of years. I mean, being on NFL practice rosters is not like playing in a game, right?
No, that's true.
So he's back. Winnipeg, to me, they were 0-4. Now they're 6-6. So they've turned it around like the Elks. To me, the Elks have to get to 8-10. The most winnable games are the 2 Calgary games and Saskatchewan. I think if the Elks play to their potential, they can win those games. I think Winnipeg will be very difficult, and I'm still not, but the Toronto game is here, which is not, well, why am I saying, oh, thank God Edmonton has a home game when they did have a 21-game home losing streak recently, and they only have 1 home win this year?
Well, let's see how that changes.
Right.
I've looked at every game and all season, and Maddie can confirm this. Even when they were 0-7, I was saying the same thing, that this team is not an 0-7 team. They just didn't have the breaks. They didn't have the bounces. They didn't have any sort of luck on the field. Now it seems like, look at last game, the bounce that went right to Tevin Jones for that is a good sign. That happens to good teams. It just does. This team could go and rattle off. Out of their 6 games, they could easily go 4-6 or 4-2.
Well, to me, that's the target.
Yeah.
The target is going 4-2.
And it's attainable.
Then you're 8-10, and then you're probably third because I think you pass Calgary, and then I think you probably pass Saskatchewan. They're 3 points behind Saskatchewan. So this weekend, if Edmonton beats Calgary and Winnipeg beats Saskatchewan, you've passed Calgary and you're a point behind Saskatchewan, and you play them.
And you play them in 3 weeks from now.
But I guess to be optimistic, which I feel like you're a little more optimistic than I am, because I feel, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like you feel second place is more attainable than I am if things fall their way. But if Edmonton actually could sweep Winnipeg, or BC loses both to Montreal, that could open because Edmonton has the tiebreaker against the Lions. Don't forget they have the point differential.
Yes.
So if BC doesn't beat the other, but what's BC's schedule?
Okay, BC's at Montreal versus Toronto versus Hamilton versus Calgary. So 4 home games out of the last 6. At Saskatchewan versus Montreal. 2 are against Montreal. One they have.
Well, BC should not lose to Hamilton, Saskatchewan, or Calgary.
Not when they're at home.
So that gets them to 9.
I don't believe in Toronto that much either.
I don't know what to think about Toronto. They're 6-5, but you think, okay, now they're going to win, and then, or they're playing Hamilton and they lose to Hamilton.
I haven't seen anything out of Toronto that makes me think that they are a true contender. To be honest, the only contender that I see out of the East is Montreal.
Well, Montreal's outstanding.
Yeah, and
though they're beatable too.
Edmonton could have beat them
twice.
Edmonton could have beat them twice this year.
Right.
Twice. They lost to them both by a field goal.
Yeah.
Right?
3 points. Yeah,
and that's
they lost
the best,
by 3 and by 4. Yeah.
That's the best team in the CFL that hands down. Everybody would agree on that.
It's just the thing that always concerns me in situations like the one the Elks are in is there's no room for error. Because if they get upset by a team that isn't playing well or a poor team, like because they still got to beat Calgary 2 more times, they have to win those games.
Yes.
Like they have to win those games because I do think I'll grant you maybe they can split with Winnipeg. I think that's going to be pretty hard to beat them twice. I mean, Winnipeg is just a seasoned team that appears now to have got some early season struggles out of the way. Kolaros is, I know some of his stats aren't great and well, is he on the downside? Okay, but until somebody beats him in a playoff game before the Grey Cup or can really take it to them, to me, there's still that figure it out team that here we come. We're really good. We're going to flex our muscles.
I know, but that's been the word all years. Oh, they'll figure it out. They'll get back to their ways. What if they don't? Like Zach Collaros has not been a world beater this season. He did not look good in his last 2 starts coming out of, in where he was supposed to be a possible MVP at the start of the year.
Right.
I just don't know. I think something's broken there. They've lost a lot of key offensive linemen in the offseason. The running attack is coming around for them. All right. But hey, guess what? So was the running attack for Edmonton. I mean, they are averaging over 20 carries per game.
Yeah.
Before last game, 4 games the 4 games leading up to that, they had a 100-yard rusher each game between Justin Rankin, Javon Leake, and Kevin Brown.
Yeah, true.
They have committed back to the running game. You need that. The CFL, sure, I get it. It's a passing game, but you have to keep defensive honest with that run game, which can be very successful when it's committed to. I've been harping on this all year on the kickoff show, a post-game show. Maddie's just sitting there. He's probably got his headphones out. He's like, oh, this guy again, talking about the same old thing. But it's the truth. Commit to the run game, which they have, and lo and behold, you rattled off 4 in your last 5.
Well, and I do like that, and I think what's important too is that they've been able to run the ball without Ford as the quarterback. Because I think, obviously, they were, 0-7, Ford got to play, and the running game seemed to come around. And I was thinking, okay, they need Ford at quarterback to run the ball because he has that threat of running himself. So if he, puts the ball out, if it's a play action or an RPO, we can't overly go after the running back because if Trey gets to the outside on us, it might be a touchdown. But they've been able to run the ball, and the offensive line has been able to assert themselves with MBT. And Jackson doesn't go away from the play calling, which I like. I know in that third quarter against Hamilton, I thought, man, they're just calling this, but they were so far ahead of Hamilton also as well.
He did deviate from the play calling earlier in the year when a certain somebody else was around.
Right.
But now that this is his team, he does not deviate from that. He sticks to it. And look what's happened.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And again, they can attack on the ground without the threat of Ford because MBT is not going anywhere.
No, sir.
Leg wise.
No, he's not.
He's not avoiding the blitz.
He's firmly planted.
Yes. But as we can see, he had a great game against Calgary. He was awesome. Even without the weird yardage he got from the Tevin Jones fumble recovery, he had well over 400 yards.
Well, Dave Campbell reported that in the last 7 games, MBT has 920 passing yards. 7 TDs and 0 interceptions
In the last how many games?
in the last 7 games that he's played.
He must have more than 900 yards.
Maybe it was a misquote. It can't be in the last 7 games. Maybe in the last...
Maybe it was the last 2 or 3. Okay.
Because he had 485 last game. Yeah, it must have been the last 2.
Yes.
Like, that's incredible. That's incredible.
Yeah,
how can you... I mean, trust me, I would like to see Trey Ford in there. I thought he should have played if he was on the bench, or when he was on the bench, dressed on the sideline in Calgary. I question that. If he's good enough to dress, he's good enough to play.
Well, they're a dangerous offense. I mean, they've scored the most points in the league, and that's the crazy thing, and they're last in the division.
They've also given up, I think, now the second most points. Their defense, though, I will say, it's coincided with a shift in running the ball more. MBT has not lost them games, and their defense is playing. I mean, they've averaged, in their last 5 games, they've averaged 22 points given up on defense.
Which is way better.
In the
You're giving them
CFL,
a
that
chance.
is well below the average.
Yes. I would think if you allow 24 or less, at least you're giving your offense a chance. And if you're allowing
Absolutely.
21 or less, you should win.
Yes.
You should win almost all the time. All right. We are going to talk. We'll have some comments, by the way, from G. Roy Simon, who's the interim GM of the Edmonton Elks. He was on the Nielsen show this morning. He has some thoughts on the Labor Day win and that big performance by Tevin Jones. And we'll dive more into what exactly changed since Chris Jones left. Like, what exactly changed? Did a lot change? Did just a few little things change that made the big results? We'll get to all that. We're happy to hear from you at the Paris Jewelers inbox at 780-218-9999. In the nasty chat, are people still giving us their casting decisions?
No, I was going to send out a reminder. Go ahead.
Well, we got knocked off the air for a while. The off-topic topic is give us your Hollywood casting choices for a movie about the current edition of the Edmonton Oilers. Don't do the whole team. That'll be too much. But give us 3 to 5 people. Who plays Knobloch? Who plays McDavid? Or pick somebody further down in the lineup. Have some fun with it for sure. Matt has a sports update.
Edmonton Elks quarterback McLeod Bethel Thompson and wide receiver Curly Gittens Jr. were named to the Week 13 CFL Honors List. MBT, he was also the top offensive player following his 486-yard, 3-touchdown performance as he led the Edmonton Elks to their Labor Day win over the Calgary Stampeders. Bomber quarterback Zach Collaros was QB1 at practice today as Winnipeg prepares for the rematch with the Riders on Saturday. Collaros left the game this past Sunday in the first half after taking a helmet-to-helmet hit. It's the PGA versus Liv as Rory McIlroy and Scotty Scheffler are set to battle Brooks Koepka, Bryson DeChambeau in the next installment of the match, which will take place out in Las Vegas in mid-December. And in the majors, after dropping the first game yesterday, the Blue Jays got swept by the Philadelphia Phillies, losing an afternoon game today 4-2. Coming up next, more of the Reid Wilkins Show with Jay Milne. I'm Adam Wanek. You're up to date.
Get to know the winners, props, plays, parlays, and more with Nielsen and Hustler. Weekday mornings at 11 on The Lock Shop. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
At Mind360, we invite you to embark on your mental health journey in a safe and comfortable space. Conveniently located in St. Albert, Mind360 has a diverse team of experienced clinicians that offer a broad range of tailored services for children, adults, and families. Furthermore, we are very proud to serve our military, veterans, and first responders. If you're looking for counseling, treatment, or assessment, understand that you are not alone. Contact Mind360 at mind360.ca to book an appointment today.
Hey Edmonton, ready to take advantage of lower rates and better pricing? South Fort Chevrolet in Fort Saskatchewan has you covered. From rugged trucks to sleek SUVs. And with over 40 years in business, you can trust that you're getting the best deal on your new ride. As the proud title sponsor of the Nielsen Show, EST listeners can drive a little to save a lot with South Fort Chevrolet's transparent pricing and down-to-earth sales team. Visit us today in Fort Saskatchewan or online at southfortchev.com.
Fuse Sausage makes their meat with nothing but the best local ingredients. From chicken, beef, and pork, their gluten-free sausages are packed with flavor. Get your 10% discount when mentioning Edmonton Sports Talk in store at 6736 99th Street or use the code EST when shopping online at fusesausages.ca. Plus, you get free delivery on orders over $100 or more. Find them at 6736 99th Street. Fuse Sausage. You can't beat our meat.
to the hollow, the devil may care.
All right. Yes, Matthew Broderick, Dabney Coleman, and Ali Sheedy in War Games 1983. Broderick plays David Lightman, a young computer hacker who unwittingly accesses a United States military supercomputer programmed to simulate, predict, and execute nuclear war against the Soviet Union, triggering a false alarm that threatens to start World War III. Truly the films that I grew up on.
Well, we're getting a lot of the romance side of this movie that you've created, Reid, with, well, you know, Dreisaitl's wife or fiance.
Yes, they got engaged. Are people casting the female leads as well?
Celeste plays Celeste.
Well, yeah, she is an actress.
Jake Austin Walker plays McDavid.
Who's that?
No idea. Max Reimelt, no idea, as Draisaitl. And Ava Locklear, played by Lauren McDavid? I don't know. I don't know.
Ava Locklear.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that would work.
Yeah?
Oh, that's Heather Locklear's daughter. Who is the guy playing McDavid?
Jake Austin Walker.
Jake Austin Walker, American actor and singer, could play McDavid. He's 27? Yeah, I guess he could.
This might be the best one that's come in on the Nasty Chat. And hit us up in the Paris Jewelers inbox. Keep these coming. 780-218-9999. Less sweet in the Nasty Chat. Tom Cruise would play Bob Stauffer. We're getting a Stauffer role here. I don't know. I don't know if Tom...
They're about the same age.
I don't know if Tom Cruise has the chops.
No comment.
97 would be Julian. Draisaitl would be Ricky. Stauffer would be Mr. Leahy. This is from
what?
Penner's
What is
Pancakes. That's from the Trailer Park Boys.
Oh, I hate to say this. I never watched the Trailer Park Boys.
I admit I haven't either.
Yeah. People
I just
tell me
know
I
them
would like it. I probably would like it.
Yeah,
it's too much to watch, though.
It would be great. Keep them coming in. This is fun.
I know people in the past, some people, I think they might have been, I'm not sure. I think some people might have been doing it a little bit mean-spiritedly, but I know I'm not much to look at. I would sometimes get comments that I look like Bubbles from the Trailer Park Boys, which I don't think was a complimentary comparison. Do I look like that person? I don't know. Matthew?
If you had thicker glasses, I see it.
My glasses are pretty thick.
Like his were a lot thicker.
Okay.
Like that if you have that, I kind of see it. It's not a bad thing, I don't think.
Okay.
People loved Bubbles. But it was a glasses thing. It's a glasses reference. That's
my
what I think it
glasses
is.
are monumentally thick, and I have high
his are
density
thicker.
lenses. I have horrible eyesight without my glasses. With corrective lenses, I can see relatively well.
I see. I see my soundboard's not on, Maddie.
Uh-oh.
That's because there was a buzz.
I was going to... Oh, that's what that was?
Yeah, so I took it off for a while because you weren't using it for a bit. But it's back on. This is... I don't know if you could see
I can
Bubbles
see.
there. You could play it now.
Yeah, I was going to do this one because, this might be a lookalike for you, too.
It's on. You're just not doing it properly.
The suspense is killing me.
I am.
Okay.
Wait, are you plugged in?
No. No touch.
Okay.
No touch, Maddie.
We'll
Wait, so what are you playing it off the computer or off the board?
To the board.
Is the fader up?
Which one?
The one next to all the buttons.
Nope.
Now press it.
Oh, do it. Oh, something's wrong. Okay.
No, it's not that
We'll
one.
fix that. We'll get someone in to fix that.
What is it?
Just like Epcor is trying to fix the big power outage on the south side. All right. We're going to do a big NFL themed show tomorrow with the kickoff between the Ravens and the Chiefs, which will be a lot of fun. We're going to talk fantasy football. We'll make some predictions. We'll try to go to a market or two and see what's going on there. And, of course, we're getting you ready for the U of A game against Calgary at Footfield on Friday, and the Elks hosting the Stampeders Saturday at 5 at Commonwealth Stadium. We have coverage with the Green and Gold kickoff show at 4 o'clock. So here's the thing. Chris Jones, a couple of years ago, 2.5 years ago, was supposed to turn the franchise around. He did not do that. Now, they've won 4 of their last 5, which they did do last year. Those are the only 4 games they won. There's more optimism around it this year. How do you look at what Chris Jones wasn't able to do as compared to what apparently Jarius Jackson and the rest of the coaching staff are doing better the last month and a half?
I see. We kind of discussed this a bit prior, but I think Chris Jones, GM Chris Jones, was fine. He brought in McLeod Bethel-Thompson. Mm-hmm. He brought in Javon Leake. He brought in Curly Gittins Jr. He brought in players that are making huge impacts on this team. Coach Chris Jones was a problem. That was a problem. There was a major desire to not run the football, which bothered me deeply. Very. I would complain and bicker about it every game that they would have 11 carries, 10 carries, 14 carries. Not enough. You're not doing enough to set up the pass game from your run and vice versa. But you know, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong that the guys that Chris Jones brought in, you know, other than Kicky McKicker there, but I don't want to talk about
which one.
Which one? Yeah. Well, obviously we're talking about Boris Beatty, who I'm outspoken on, and I don't want to ruin it.
But it looked like, and I tweeted this after the loss to Hamilton, that the Elks are below average or poor at every position group. I certainly wouldn't say that now. I mean, I'd probably say they're average or better at every position group.
They've been playing statistically, but even when you said that before, statistically, that wasn't the case. Statistically, they were playing fine. McLeod Bethel-Thompson was throwing the ball well. He was turning the ball over a little much. Yes, I will agree with that. But even the running back average when they had 11 carries, 12 carries, 14 carries was a strong average. The defense that, looked bad because they were actually holding it together a lot more earlier in the season. Now they're fine tuning it and they're now really clamping down. The problem was, and this might explain it all, is that the plays that they were giving up, the big plays, the big penalties, the missed field goals, all the things that were highlighted were happening at critical times in those losses. So it wasn't necessarily that Boris Beatty missed a field goal in the first quarter when it was 7-3. He missed the game, what would have been a game winner. He kicked the ball out of bounds.
Right.
Kai Gray taking a costly unnecessary roughness penalty that led to a Hamilton touchdown in that game.
Right.
Just critical errors at critical times were happening under Chris Jones's watch. That doesn't seem to be happening now. So there was a shift in the dressing room of accountability, of, being a better teammate, doing your job, and helping the team win, and not being selfish. That seemed to be a major difference from a Chris Jones-led team to a Jarius Jackson-led team.
Yeah, which is really interesting because when you talk about and you listed off some of the penalties, I mean, and I know he was trying to make a tackle, but Niles Morgan got a face masking penalty in BC that gave them yardage to get the field goal. It just, and maybe Chris Jones would say, I had nothing to do with that. I wasn't telling them to take penalties, but something changed. And now, certainly on Monday and on Labor Day, the Elks were not the team that made the crucial mistake. Of course, they weren't perfect. I mean, I talked yesterday, they took an intentional grounding and, that took them out of field goal range, and then it wasn't a great punt. But if you look at all the mistakes Calgary made, they were way more, and they were way more serious. And now the Elks aren't shooting themselves in the feet. They're not the team generally making the big error or having something go against them late in the game or late in the half that swings a lot of momentum. So maybe, something has changed, though. And I know Chris Jones lost 3 games on last play field goals. So it's not as if they were losing by 20 and now they're winning by 15. But clearly something has changed. It's just confusing to me because Chris Jones was a very experienced CFL coach who had been successful in Edmonton, in Saskatchewan. They were turning around there, and then he left Saskatchewan as well. So it's like, what was the dude not getting that apparently he got? Or like, was there stubbornness? Was he just so sold on, I'm going to do things the way I did them in 2015 because they're going to work? Was that he didn't have a Mike Riley to maybe bail a team out like they had in 2015? It's just really strange to me that that apparently his absence has made such a big difference. I mean, we've heard the things about that. The practices were too intense under Jones, and maybe that why they weren't great in fourth quarters, or guys were a little banged up all the time. Maybe that was a thing. But there just seems to be also a tactical difference that to me is strange, because you'd think someone with Jones's experience should understand CFL tactics.
And you know what's the funniest, and maybe not the right term to use here, but a lot of this difference has come on the defensive side, right, which is supposed to be Chris Jones' specialty. I mean, look, Hamilton Tiger Cats signed him up as a defensive consultant or specialist. When Chris Jones was at the helm, the Edmonton Elks, a turnover ratio in the CFL is the amount of times you've taken it away as the amount of times you've given the ball away. So an interception, you're +1. Two interceptions by your quarterback, you're -1. Right? Okay. It's a very indicative number of how the team is doing. Indicative. Sorry. When Chris Jones was here, they were -5. That means they'd given the ball over 5 times more than they've taken away. They are currently second in the CFL, +10. They have changed it 15 points in their favor since Chris Jones has left.
+5 alone on Labor Day.
Riddle me that.
Yeah.
As a defensive guru, as a guy who's known to put together the top defenses. And, maybe this is a credit to Jason Shivers as well, to not have the overlord of Chris Jones looking over his defense, maybe critiquing him, because there's no question that defense has changed. That defense is now winning them games, or at least not costing them games, since Chris Jones has left.
I guess I kind of see his era. You got to put it all together, because like last year they couldn't score. Cornelius had his confidence shattered. McAdoo was a terrible offensive coordinator. Like, I don't like calling for coaches to be fired, but like that's the closest I've come. And then he eventually did get fired as the offensive coordinator. And then this year, they were scoring even when they were losing. But yeah, they, like you said, they couldn't get the stops, or they were making the key mistake, or taking the bad penalty at the wrong time. And I guess that's why I'm encouraged, because 4-8 is not a great record, but 4 of the last 5. But that's why now I'm encouraged, because I when I'm watching the games now, I'm thinking, okay, they're not gonna botch it. I mean, I still got nervous, even the Hamilton game, because I didn't like the third quarter. And certainly that Calgary game when they ran the punt back, you're thinking, oh man, are they going to blow it again? But now they're just a steadier. They seem like a steadier team emotionally too. And I don't know if that somehow came from the coach, that because Jones, it's not like Jones is running around the sidelines. I mean, that was the knock on Jason Moss when he was here, right? That he got too emotional and the cameras were already on him and he's smashing a clipboard. I mean, Jones wasn't that guy, yet they didn't seem to have that emotional steadiness. So I don't know. Maybe it's just that small shift, but they sure are a different team.
Interesting point here in the nasty chat as well from Abudski. Aside from Almondo Sewell, this turnaround has happened under Chris Jones. He handpicked coaching staff.
Yes.
So that's true. That's a good point. But the dynamic was not working. Clearly. I mean, you cannot argue that. Once Chris Jones left, this team changed things around.
But that is a great point.
It is.
Because Jones was the GM and pretty much hired his own coaching staff. So everybody he put in place, players and coaches included, is doing what he couldn't do. And that's win some games.
That's why I said GM Chris Jones was probably the more appropriate role for him, as opposed to GM/head coach.
Which is maybe, when they weren't winning, I thought the GM, Chris Jones, let down Chris Jones, the coach. He didn't get him the ingredients. What was the old, was it Parcells that said that? If you want me to cook the meal, let me pick the ingredients, because he wanted both jobs.
Yeah.
I was thinking, okay, the GM didn't give the chef the right ingredients to cook a good meal. And now I'm sitting here thinking the opposite. How did Chris Jones, the coach, pick these players and then not put them in the right position to perform? Like it just, he's such an enigmatic figure to me. And now his tenure, the second tenure in Edmonton, I mean, he has one of the best tenures in Edmonton, only for 2 years, leaves, comes back, okay, turn it around again, and he absolutely can't do it. but now everybody that he picked to do the jobs is hopefully in the process of doing it. It's just
It is mind-boggling.
It's hard to fathom. Like that isn't who wrote that in?
Abutsky.
That is an excellent point. He didn't just pick the players; he picked these coaches, and now they're doing it without him. So was he holding them back, game planning wise? Was it just a mood or some kind of culture that he had in place that they just couldn't get over the top? It's really weird.
I still honestly think that the switch was flipped when Trey Ford came in late in that Hamilton game where Hamilton came to Edmonton and blew them out. And Trey Ford didn't come into the fourth quarter with 9 minutes left and put up 21 points unanswered. And yes, you can say it was the defense was playing against a backup. I don't care. That was emotion. That was team. That was a bonding experience that happened right in front of everybody that was watching. That is so critically important for football teams. This isn't tennis. This isn't even basketball where you have a 12-person roster. Like, this is a 50-some person roster. They need to buy in together. And when Trey Ford came on the field and delivered that was an incredible performance to finish that game in a loss, albeit. Mm-hmm. But nonetheless, that turned the tide. They've been a different team since that. And it was something that was, I was certainly saying throughout that 0-7 stretch. It just takes one. It just takes one win to get that team chemistry back. And in a locker room of that size, that is a big thing. So, yes, you cannot argue that Chris Jones had his hand in the pot, stirring up this, Elks chili, call it. But something was amiss. I don't know. Maddie, do you got anything to add? I mean, I know you had called this. You said that this was going to happen under Chris Jones's tutelage.
Which part?
That they would stink off the start of the year. That Chris Jones would be fired.
That was I was blaming the GM more on that one. But I'm with Reid. It's clear the coach just really messed up for the GM. To me, you just nailed it there. It's the Trey Ford was the big factor in all this.
Even though he hasn't played the last couple of games.
Trey Ford, he was the spark. He was the spark you needed to get the fire going.
Now
they couldn't get the fire going. It was wet or whatever it was. They didn't have the match. They didn't have whatever was necessary to get that fire going. Trey Ford came in and just the weight came off of everyone's shoulders. It seemed like the Hamilton game, he goes perfect 4 for 4 in that game. People are going, well, can they do this against Saskatchewan? All of a sudden, there's a commitment to the run. They stick with the run. The run opens up, as it did last year in the second half of the season as well. But they have that running attack now. That even with Trey Ford out there, they've stuck with it. They've kept going with it. And then that is also just, it's the defense since then has had a swagger. The defense prior to that was not able to stop a lot of people. Mm-hmm. But now they go out on that field and they know that, well, you could march the ball on us, but we're going to take it away, or we're going to stop you early and our offense is going to get the ball. But that swagger was put in there with Trey Ford. That was the change. That even Trey Ford doesn't have to be starting anymore, but he started the change in this season. It wasn't good with MBT in his last few games. It wasn't there. And the arrogance of Chris Jones and partially Jarius Jackson to stick with MBT almost completely destroyed this season. Because they stuck with MBT too long in that Hamilton game. They stuck with him a quarter too long.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And they should have put out Trey Ford a little bit, but MBT's their guy. MBT's their guy. And what happened in that nothing happened in that third quarter. But Trey Ford goes out there and immediately gets points. And then Saskatchewan immediately gets points. And then against BC, gets a nice lead. Then MBT comes in and they're still putting up points and they're still scoring. To me, Trey Ford is the big spark that got this all. He's not everything. Like the running attack is probably the biggest reason this offense is putting up as many points as it was because of the thing that Jay has not mentioned all year, which is they should run the football. Jay, I can't believe he didn't. You should have thrown that out there a little sooner, Jay.
And never kick.
But how does that get going? It's because of Trey Ford. Like that's look. You could say I'm still president of the Trey Ford fan club, but I don't know if this season happens if Trey Ford doesn't get that garbage time play against Hamilton and that start against Saskatchewan. I don't know if this team gets that swagger that they needed.
We are in the James H. Brown studio. James H. Brown personal injury law firm, the heavy hitters of injury law with over 200 years of experience. James H. Brown will get you the settlement you deserve. Visit them at jameshbrown.com today and book your private consultation. Good chat on the Elks. We'll get to more of your feedback as we roll along. We're going to round out some of your casting decisions on our off-topic topic. Who would star in a Hollywood movie as who about the Edmonton Oilers? We've had some fun ones. Not all actors that we've heard of, but we've definitely had some fun ones. And I will share in my top 3 when we get back some sources of embarrassment. But first, Matt has a sports update.
Edmonton Elks quarterback McLeod Bethel-Thompson and wide receiver Curly Gittens Jr. They were named to the CFL Week 13 honors list. MBT was also then named the top offensive player after his 486-yard, 3-touchdown performance as he led the Edmonton Elks to their Labor Day win over the Stampeders. Bombers QB Zach Collaros was QB1 at practice today as Winnipeg prepares for their rematch with the Riders on Saturday. Collaros left the game this past Sunday in the first half after taking a helmet-to-helmet hit. Damar Hamlin will start at safety for the Buffalo Bills in their Week 1 game against the Cardinals, marking his first start since he went into cardiac arrest during a game back in January of 2023. Toronto Blue Jays, they fell to the Philadelphia Phillies 4-2, losing both games in the series against Philadelphia. And it's PGA versus Liv as Rory McIlroy and Scotty Scheffler set to battle Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau in the next installment of the match, which will take place out in Las Vegas in mid-December. Coming up next on the Reid Wilkins Show with Jay Milne, we'll get to Reid's top 3. I'm Matt Iwanek. You're up to date.
Wake up with the Nielsen Show with Dustin Nielsen and Lieutenant Eric. Weekday mornings 6 to 9 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
Get ready, Edmonton. The moment you've been waiting for is here. It's time to celebrate the best of the best with the Esties, as we honor everything from Edmonton Sports Talk's incredible first year. Join us on September 17th at Metro Cinema for an unforgettable night of excitement, laughter, and recognition. Tickets are just $10. Secure your spot by emailing Matt at EdmontonSportsTalk.com. And after the show, let's keep the party going at Hudson's White Ave for the official after party. Mark your calendar, grab your tickets, and get ready to celebrate the best moments of EST. It's the Esties, September 17th.
You want the heavy hitters on your team, both on and off the ice. If you've been injured in a car accident, call the heavy hitters of injury law. James H. Brown and Associates, Alberta Injury Lawyers. With over 200 years of combined injury law experience, their precedent-setting lawyers are ready to help. Locally owned and proud Edmonton Oilers fans, James H. Brown and Associates wants to support you with their unrivaled experience, unrivaled results, and unrivaled commitment. When accidents happen, head to jameshbrown.com.
Few of us can say that we're over 60 and still hot, but Mr. Mike's Burger can. And to celebrate over 60 years of Mr. Mike's famous burger, you're invited to taste history for only $8.99 at Mike Burger Madness. Savor the original flame-grilled Mike Burger on their signature garlic French loaf for a limited time. Dine-in only price of just $8.99. Sides extra. It's Mr. Mike's Mike Burger Madness, and you'd be mad to miss it. Offer ends September 30th. Eat locally, enjoy casually.
What is this music again?
This one is titled Return Track 3 Metal.
Oh, what a title.
This is the Chariots of Fire.
That was the one that starts off for half a note like Chariots of Fire. All right.
Very briefly. Reid, I'm going to get into the Paris Jewelers inbox here because there's a lot of discussion about what we were talking about with the Elks and was the whole Chris Jones dilemma. Chris Jones was a stubborn loaf who didn't hold players accountable, coached teams with less discipline than my wife at a slow pitch game. He was able to get away with it in 2015 because Michael Riley was just good enough to outplay those issues. The difference we're seeing now just proves at this point. Again, that came in from Owen Janes.
Can I touch on that?
Yeah.
I wonder, well, I don't wonder, the impact of Riley. I mean, he was an awesome player. And, let's face it, as much as I criticize McAdoo, he was the offensive coordinator on that team. But I really believe, and I've heard stuff, that Riley was like, we're not calling your plays all the time, Steve. I'm not throwing 3-yard curls. Darrell can get down the field. We got guys that can get down the field. We got to do it a little bit differently. I don't know if I would call Chris Jones a loaf necessarily, but clearly there was some sort of accountability that there's something that wasn't right. And you wanted it. You said, okay, Beatty's the kicker, but you got to put faith. Jackson did it. He made Faithful the kicker.
Yes.
And it depends. Would have Jones made that change? I don't know if he would have.
And it really depends on the loaf. There's a lot of good loaves out there. I love a good meat loaf.
Well, maybe that wasn't a derogatory comment, but no, it's good. It's a good text.
Sauerkraut loaf or sourdough. Love sourdough loaf. Liquid Beaver also in the Paris Jewelers inbox. Hello, Sheldon. Sheldon's a regular out at the Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge with Maddie and I.
Wait, so do we call him Sheldon or do we call him
the Liquid Beaver?
The Liquid Beaver. Do we want to know the origin of that name? Maybe not.
I've never asked.
Yeah, maybe it's
some things are best unsaid.
Left unasked.
Yeah. I think everything changed with Trey Ford. He gave the whole team confidence. Just my take.
But that's an interesting one to me because yes, as you guys were saying, that fourth quarter against Hamilton was exciting, even though they still lost the game by quite a bit because they were so far behind. But MBT played Monday. I mean, Ford was never going to see the field on Monday. Maybe it was just the whole shift. Maybe it was just that word that people use, belief. There's belief.
It was the spark, just for the belief of this team, but also, as Jace pointed out earlier, they just needed that first win to get that little confidence. And they needed that one thing to just get them feeling like we can actually go do this. We can go win football games. We're a better football team than we actually are. They just needed that one thing to turn the tide. And that's why I used the word spark there with Trey Ford, that he doesn't have to play anymore.
Even though that was
But it was just
a loss,
the spark
right,
that shot the rocket up.
Okay.
And now the rocket's in space and it's flying and it's doing amazing things.
Well, and one more to get to here. Brent Kellington comes in. I believe Coach Jones didn't use the running backs, as Jay said, but that also caused far too many short drives. This is a good point, which left the D on the field too much. Exhausted endings that ended with tight losses. That's oversimplified, but also true. I like that take as well. How many short 3-4 play drives were we used to seeing watching that team play? And as a defense, you're not able to catch a breath. I mean, Maddie, what did we see there? Was that a 14-yard or 14-play drive?
On Monday.
There was a 14-play drive and a 10-play drive.
14-play drive.
One in the third quarter.
In the Canadian Football League.
In the Canadian Football League. The defense, the Elks defense in the third quarter, were on the field twice.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah, no, that was
like an extra halftime.
That was a great drive. And I wonder how much that paid off too late in the game. So Calgary gets the punt return touchdown. Edmonton gets a long bomb. I mean, how much of that is that Calgary's just exhausted? They're on their heels. The defense is on their heels most of the game.
Well, just look no further than the 0-7 Elks. They were bit by that bug a lot, giving up late, long plays.
By the way, what do you think of that spider cam delay?
I thought it was funny. I find humor in those things. I mean, it's just...
And would the players have to as well?
No. I mean, that's...
But if you're in the middle of that game, you can't let it rattle you. Oh, my God.
That's like when the power went out when the Ravens and the 49ers played in the Super Bowl.
I hated it.
That was
weird. I hated it as a Ravens fan.
You would have.
I had people over and everyone's like just having a good time. And it's like, just quiet, everyone. I'm trying to figure out when they're playing again. And I hate it all. And you know what happened after that? 49ers made a nice comeback and they almost won that football game. Ravens were destroying at that moment. Yeah. Hated it.
Yeah.
It was the worst.
The Ravens did win, though. You like the Ravens?
In the end, I am a Ravens fan.
Okay. You know, Lamar Jackson is their quarterback.
Really?
They have a game tomorrow.
Oh, actually, have you heard Derrick Henry got signed as their starting running back?
Is he going to start?
I think he's going to be a difference.
My mom has an interesting nickname for him. I can't say it on air.
For Derrick Henry?
Yes. 780-218-9999. Anything else you want to get to? Or do you want to do top three?
Let's do it, baby.
All right, let's do the top three. We're going to do the top three daily. It's going to be unpredictable, hopefully fun. Reid's top three for food sausages. They're the best sausages you will ever eat. Locally made, packed full of flavor. Order online or visit them in store. 6736 99th Street. Take advantage of their EST discount. Yes, 10% off your order by entering online code EST or just mention Edmonton Sports Talk in the store. Free delivery in Edmonton on orders over $100. As Food Sausage says, you can't beat our meat. So my top three is anything. It'll be some kind of sports-related topics most of the time, though we'll see. So today, one of our themes today is stories about athletes. Maybe it's true stories, like we were talking about Leon's Draisaitl story, how we think it's pretty amazing. And in this case, I'm going to go with, well, actually one of these is based on a true story. And people are going to roll their eyes at me maybe for some of these. Top 3 sports movies I'm somewhat embarrassed to admit I have not seen. I only say somewhat embarrassed because I don't get embarrassed easily. So I can't really walk around saying, well, I'm fully embarrassed I haven't seen these movies. I'm somewhat embarrassed to say I haven't seen them. And probably never will at this point.
I'm
ready?
Excited. I'm very excited. I want to see where this goes.
I will also say, I'm like Jay. There's a lot of movies I've not seen.
You don't know these. Well, these are specifically sports movies.
No, I know. So that's where, like, if I'm going, or Jay, I think going, really, Reid, then you're in a bad spot.
That is a bad place to be.
I think that'd be a bad spot.
I think on probably a couple of these, at least one of you will be like, how have you not seen
on
that?
a couple of these. So basically, 67% of the list.
Yeah. Okay.
I just hope I know them.
Oh, you'll know them.
Okay.
You'll know them, and I think you'll have seen probably 2 out of the 3, if not all 3. Because I decided, I was talking about this with Gager and Hernan will be my test audience for some of these because they're here in the morning when I'm prepping stuff, right?
If there's one on there, I know which one I'll get upset at.
Yeah, and they were kind of like, oh, man. But I did decide, and they agree with this, I'm not going to include anything in the last 2 or 3 years because...
That's fair.
Yeah,
I agree.
recent, and I don't
Has there
watch
been
as
a
many
good
movies as I
sports
used to.
movie in the last 2 or 3 years?
That's a great question. I don't really think so. I mean,
I think you're good.
The Challengers is a tennis movie, right?
Oh, actually, I did enjoy that movie.
Oh, is that one good?
Didn't like the ending.
Someone told me that wasn't
think
that
of just and don't get too far off topic here, but just think of the shift in viewing and consumption has went more so from TV to streaming, a la documentaries and such, like, you know, the golf one,
Full Swing.
Well, this
and the
F1 show changed. Like Gager didn't watch F1.
It did this for
Now
a
we know
lot.
everything.
There was actually, though, everyone at EST watches F1 because of that series.
Not everyone.
So I watched the first episode after Gager.
That watches F1 is because of that series.
You said it right.
Yeah, they brought in. Yeah, they brought in a lot of people. All right.
Eric. Oh no, Eric actually did watch it prior. I will give Eric credit. Never mind. Sorry, Eric.
So my
apologies.
first sports movie, I'm somewhat embarrassed to admit I have not seen, from 1993, Rudy.
Really?
Yes.
That's surprising to me.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised myself. I haven't seen it. It's on TV a lot. It came out a couple years before I started working at Blockbuster Video. I worked at Blockbuster from 1995 to 1998. People who watched my previous show or listened to my previous show will know that because I told a lot of Blockbuster stories. So I could have rented it for free. I just feel as if it became one of those movies. I always thought, you know what's next time? I'll get it next time. There's always something I wanted to watch a little more. And now it's reached the point 31 years later, I have not seen Rudy, which is based on a true story and a very uplifting story, by the way.
Okay, so this is just a fact. I mean, you've obviously never driven on a road trip to Regina for 8 hours on a bus.
Well, no, I didn't play high-level sports like you did.
No, not even that, but just a football team. Watching a football movie. I mean, any football movie here, I'm going to be shocked because that was, that was once on the way there, once on the way back was Rudy.
So you've seen it several times. And Wanik, do you know what we're talking about?
I know of Rudy. What I'm trying to remember is, have I ever actually seen Rudy from start to finish in one sitting?
Right.
I've seen moments of Rudy. My brother's watched, my dad's watched. I feel like I've seen most of it, but I can't actually recall sitting down and watching Rudy from start to finish myself.
Okay.
But I have seen parts of it. So it is that one movie that makes most guys cry, I would say. If they had to go to the movie that makes you cry, Rudy would be up there.
I have not seen Rudy. Will I ever? I don't know.
I think
we're gonna have to. I think we're gonna have to
force me to what?
No, I don't think so. Because Dusty wants me and Eric to watch The Goonies because we've never watched that, and we still haven't done that yet.
I've never seen The Goonies either.
You're gonna have to do my eyelids like in McDowell's character in Clockwork Orange. Yeah, just hold them open,
pry them open.
I've definitely seen Clockwork Orange.
Number 1, Rudy.
All right. Also, I have not seen, and the reason I put this on the list is because I feel like it's quoted a lot, and I have to then everybody laughs. And I won't laugh, and I'll be like, why is everybody laughing? Oh, that's from this movie. I think Cam Moon would quote this a lot.
Oh, he's texting me right now.
He's a good guy. Is he upset that I haven't seen Rudy? I have
He
not
hasn't said that yet, though.
I have not seen Talladega Nights.
Me neither.
I've liked the movie. He was on one of my TV programs a couple nights ago, and I looked at it. I just chose not to watch it. It's not something I'll get upset about.
That's the Ricky Bobby character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you ain't first, you're last.
And
Don't
is
know what
that
to do
the
with my
one
hands.
where
Sacha Baron Cohen's in it as the
I was gonna say
F1 driver.
Borat, but he's not Borat. He plays sort of the villain, the rival
Yes.
driver.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Cam gets mad at you for not seeing this?
So he doesn't get mad at me. He just quotes it, and I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, there's some really. It's a quotable movie. It's pretty good.
What else is from? it?
Well, there's Baby Jesus. They go into praying to Baby Jesus.
Was John C. Reilly in that as well?
Yeah, he was the.
He's in a lot of
he
movies.
was his
Okay.
partner, who actually then becomes actually a villain too in it, in a sense.
Not a fan of John C. Reilly.
Oh, really?
I'm not.
I think he's a great actor.
I don't know what it is.
Well, maybe not
Step
great
Brothers
actor.
cannot watch.
I never saw that either.
I tried watching Step. I can't. I don't know what it is about him. I'm not a fan. So that's why specifically I've not watched Talladega Nights.
Okay, so we have Rudy and Talladega Nights, 2 sports movies, which I'm somewhat embarrassed to admit I have not seen.
And I'm not mad at you yet for either.
The final one on the line. I don't think you'll be mad at me for the third one, but this next one for a while is also like Rudy. It's from the 90s. And for a while, I think this one was kind of quoted or scenarios were referenced in it. But it's kind of more of a drama romance. I just never saw it. And that is Tin Cup.
I've never seen Tin Cup.
I've seen portions of it.
Okay.
It would kind of be, Maddie, how
this
you've
wasn't
seen
this
Rudy.
wasn't a great list then.
That's how I've seen
You've
Tin
seen
Cup.
points, bits and pieces of it throughout.
But I have not sat down and watched it all. I mean, I'll say some of, like you'd probably laugh at this, but I've never seen Bull Durham.
Well, that surprises me quite a bit.
Right? I've never seen it. I've heard it's legendary.
It's pretty good. Now, there's not a huge. So I'm 8 years older than you.
Yes, sir.
So there might be a generation where movies I was watching in my teens you weren't quite watching yet.
I've never seen Wild Thing.
I never heard of it.
Oh, Major League.
Major
Well,
League.
you haven't seen Major League?
I haven't
well,
seen
you
Major
should have
League.
done this list.
Maybe.
Top 3 movies that Jay is embarrassed to.
The only one I need
think
to
your
know.
list is much more compelling than mine. I guess maybe for people of my age range. You haven't seen Bull Durham.
No.
You haven't seen Major League.
No.
Okay.
Moneyball was the one I was worried about. I was worried you were going to say you hadn't seen Moneyball.
No, I've seen Moneyball.
And I was going to walk
the
out.
book.
I was
And
going
read
to say
the
that you
book.
guys have to deal with it. Book's really good.
The book is great.
wow.
It focuses
Yeah.
on the pitching.
Book's excellent.
Well, focus on the pitching that the movie doesn't. They had a really good pitching staff.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. I think you should watch Bull Durham and Major League.
Then what do you have
If
to
you
watch
have
off
time.
your list? If he has
You
to
have-
watch 2,
yeah.
you have to watch 2.
Okay. If there was one,
This is give and take, Reid.
Then I would watch Rudy.
You have to watch 2. You've given him
Okay,
2.
I'll
You
give
got to
him
take
one.
2.
I'll give him one.
No. I'll give you my one out of yours that you need to watch, and I think that's Rudy.
Yes.
You give me one out of the 2 I said, whether it's Bull Durham. Okay, hang on.
Which
Bull
one
Durham.
would I pick then? Probably Bull Durham.
And I'm not doing either. You can't bring me into this.
I would probably say Bull Durham. From what, and again, I'm at the point where some of these movies now I haven't seen since a year since the year they came out, because you'd rent them when they came out on VHS. I don't go back and rewatch a lot of stuff. I would probably say Bull Durham because I think it's a better film as a whole in terms of the writing. Like Major League's funny, but I think Bull Durham would be a little more, not complex, a little more polished film perhaps.
Forgive me if I'm wrong, but
I don't know.
Kevin Costner, Susan Sarandon
Is Bull Durham.
Okay.
Major League is Sheen. And I can't even remember who else. Oh, Behringer. No, which one is Behringer the catcher in? No, he's the catcher in Bull Durham.
Okay.
As well, I think. I'd say watch Bull Durham over Major League, but people can tell us at 780-218-9999.
Oh, there's
and
a
they
lot
can
of
also
chatter on
admit
here.
okay, give us. Well, we've got to do. Okay, we better break.
Rudy, Reid.
Yeah, see,
Rudy,
people are
seriously?
mad. And if there's any movies that
Coming
people
in
are,
from Chad.
movies that sports movies that people are embarrassed to admit, we won't embarrass them. We can even say it anonymously. 780-218-9999. We got to do a break. Matt will do sports update, and we'll keep rolling. Reid Wilkins Show with Jay Milne.
2 guys and a goalie.
I don't mind analytics. I just don't like when people are like only analytics and only this, and they're like, oh, you can't do that, guy is, and so he's horrible. And I'm like, let's watch the tape, and then let's look at those analytics and say why some of that stuff happened before we make our decisions.
Cass is good in the sheets, the Excel spreadsheets.
I was going to say,
like
Cass, what do you think of analytics? By the way, this episode will be called Cassalytics.
Hey, I think it's got to be.
Two Guys and a Goalie with Gager, Cassian, and Nielsen. Tuesday and Thursdays at noon. Only on Edmonton Sports Talk.
Since 1952, William Huff has been the heartbeat of Edmonton's advertising world. From humble beginnings to a citywide powerhouse, we've been the go-to for print, design, and installation. Partnering with Edmonton's top sports franchises and major events, we've helped shape the city's global reputation. Our secret? Unmatched customer service, decades of expertise, and a passion for excellence we call the William Huff Advantage. For advertising solutions that stand out, choose William Huff. Visit us at williamhuff.com.
Gallo LLP is an Alberta-based accounting firm with expert chartered professional accountants in both our Edmonton and Sherwood Park accounting firms. Our experienced and innovative accountants provide financial advice that saves our clients money. Simply put, we help our clients protect their assets and grow their businesses. At Gallo LLP, they go beyond the numbers to ensure the continued success of your business. Reach out to Preet or John to discuss how they can help your business grow. Visit gallollp.ca today and see how they can help you take your business to the next level.
Hi there. If you're like me, you like to picture yourself in luxury even though there's absolutely no way you could afford it. And if you can, well, even better. Thankfully, I picture myself in something that is luxury but still absolutely affordable, like the all-new Mazda CX-90 from Park Mazda. With the new luxury features like facial recognition settings and quilted detail Napa leather seating, I can pretend to be comfortable with all of my proper settings activated without even touching the button, thanks to Mitch Lewicki and the great staff at Park Mazda. I like to picture Mitch Lewicki as a ninja fighting off evil samurai.
Park Mazda, your dealer for life in Sherwood Park off Y Road, parkmazda.ca.
Edmonton Elks quarterback McLeod Bethel-Thompson and wide receiver Curly Gittens Jr. They were named to the CFL Week 13 honors list. MBT. He was also named as the top offensive player after his 486-yard, 3-touchdown performance as he led the Elks to their Labor Day win over the Stampeders. Winnipeg Blue Bombers quarterback Zach Collaros. He was back at practice today as QB1 as they prepare for the rematch with the Riders on Saturday. Collaros left the game this past Sunday in the first half after taking a helmet-to-helmet hit. It's the PGA vs. Live as Rory McIlroy and Scotty Scheffler are set to battle Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau in the next installment of the match. That'll take place in mid-December out in Las Vegas. And the Toronto Blue Jays had a second game in a two-game series against the Phillies. They lost game one yesterday. They also fell today, losing 4-2. This ESD Sports Update. It's brought to you by Sit and Sleep. The wait is over. Sit and Sleep is now open. Celebrate with 20,000 square feet of savings on the trendiest furniture, home decor, and mattresses. Apply for your Sit and Sleep card today to make no payment for 18 months interest-free. Join us on location Saturday to celebrate Sit and Sleep's grand opening in South Common next to Planet Fitness. Coming up next, the start of Hour 3 of the Reid Wilkins Show with Jay Milne. I'm Matt Owanek. You're up to date.
How's it going? Hope you're having a great afternoon. Large power outage in Edmonton today. Hopefully you have worked your way around that if it affected you. As we were looking on that Epcor map, pretty large swath of the south side was without power. Might be until 6:30. But thanks for tuning in today. The second edition of the Reid Wilkins Show with Jay Milne. We were off and running. We were having a great time. We're always happy to interact with you, whether it's something sports related. We got some good stuff about the Elks coming in today. By the way, we were talking yesterday about captain skates. It sounds like the Oilers will have some, but like they're not already going. I think Connor and Leon are getting to town in the next 7 to 10 days. So they'll go out there and do some stuff before training camp to get it going. But you and Maddie were very disinterested.
Give me beer and wings.
You guys were very disinterested in the captain skates yesterday.
Don't do it. You played 2.5 months ago, not even.
You know what we won't talk about this today.
Last year,
but we'll do this maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll do a lot of NFL. But I'm actually wondering, how. Of course, people are interested, but is the regular season now more than ever for the Oilers? It's like that's just okay. Just stay healthy. Get ready for are people gonna freak out if they lose to Buffalo on December 15th? The start of the season last year was freak out. But now is it kind of like whatever? They'll get through anything bad in the regular season they can get through and they'll be fine. Anyway, we'll open that up.
We should.
That's a teaser for future shows.
That is, and I'm
closer to camp.
I'm happy to report that the EPCOR power outages seem to be out, except for our one customer.
The one guy in Homesteader is still out.
God, we need to send a rescue team. I might drive by there on the way home.
One outage affected customers. One, but again, when they say customers, it'd be a building getting power. But still,
if you're listening from this affected region, please
let us
message
know.
us on the nasty chat or at the Paris Jewelers inbox.
Okay.
780-218-9999. And please send in your other movies, sports movies that you're slightly ashamed or embarrassed that you haven't seen.
Mock mine. What are people saying?
Well, actually, there was several comments, so I'll get to Caster 1990. Behringer was the catcher in Major League to Charlie Sheen. Tim Robbins was the catcher in Bull Durham.
Thank you.
Which he's also admitted he's never watched completely as well.
Well, some of this is going to be an age thing. Right, so I was born in 74. Bull Durham came out in 88 when I was 14. Of course I've seen it. If you were born in 90, why would you watch Bull Durham? I get it.
Yeah, and I guess it was also what you were, like in our house, the favorite family movie, if we're, wondering what to watch, is Remember the Titans.
Right. And are you allowed to watch something that might be PG-13, R, or whatever, depending? Yeah, Nuke Laloche, that was the Tim Robbins character in Bull Durham. Thank you for clarifying that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's I'm terrible at watching. This is from Colin the Amish Man. I'm terrible at watching movies as well. Always something else I would rather do for the most part. But I've seen all 3 movies on Reid's list, and the ones Jay hasn't either. Small s shame, he says.
So he's seen the ones I haven't seen, but he has not seen the ones you haven't seen.
I've seen all 3 of movies on Reid's list.
Okay.
And the ones Jay hasn't either. The ones I said, like Bull
he's
Durham.
seen all 5.
So he's seen all 5.
Good.
He's knocking
That's
this out of the
awesome.
park.
That's awesome.
Wow. Good for you. Round of clicks for Colin the Amish Man. That's great.
Is it?
Hey, Maddie. Glass half empty Maddie back there.
Yeah, but he's very dour.
Don't say that word. Or what's the word that's going on social media right now? It's like a term.
That's really helpful.
No, it's
really
like trending. It's trending.
A term on social media.
It's trending. It's trending with all the young kids. It's like
it's lit. The thing that Oil Stream was talking about today, Dusty. And
yeah, what is it? Do you remember?
I forgot because we asked Trev though, and Trev said he never used it.
Somebody will send it.
We'll find out, I guess.
Yeah,
maybe we won't.
Just thank you for really narrowing it for us. It was so helpful to Reid and I to try to figure it out as you completely narrowed it in and zeroed it in for us.
Something I've heard this word and it's trending.
You have the drone striking capability of just hitting that one little thing in the random spot. That's what you did for us. You nailed that one little speck.
No, Joel, it's not. Demure, La Bamba guy, demure. Do you know what demure means, Reid?
Does it not kind of mean understated?
Do you know what it means?
I don't have a hot
reserved,
clue.
modest, and shy, typically used of a woman. That's what dictionary.com says.
I
demure
agree.
young lady, reserved, modest, and shy.
But it's like the trendy thing to say. Oh, that's so demure. It's taking a word that is not used in the right context and applying it to something like Maddie's so demure.
Just like how literally does not mean literally. Because people would start to say things like, if they're really thirsty, I'm literally going to die of thirst in the next 10 minutes. No, you aren't. You're just saying that you're really thirsty, but literally has now come to mean I very much so something.
The Paris Jewelers inbox is lighting up.
Good.
Demure.
Oh, everybody knew. Okay,
everybody knew except me and you two schmucks, I guess.
But you did such a great job of helping people figure it out. That's what I'm saying.
Clearly it works. Why do people start using this word?
I don't know.
Why do we use any of the words?
Language and communication, Matthew.
Well, why is lit a thing? The Reid Wilkins show with Jay Milne's lit. Why did that become a thing?
Lit means it's lit. On fire. It means it's very good.
Lit.
It's hot.
Yeah,
it's going well.
It's lit.
People like it.
It's ready
Just
to
another
roll.
way to say that. Like when I was a kid, we used to say,
golly.
Yeah. Gosh darn. This is a fun day. Like radical used to be a thing. Do people still say radical? Yeah, this is rad.
This is rad.
I remember for a while
It's
we would
lit.
say this is X. Like this is excellent. We would shorten it to X, and then next year you got a different word.
Yeah, it's always. And then at the end of the year, Merriams-Webster goes, here's the new words for the year.
But see, Matthew, and I was going to wait to make your personality a topic on the show. But we might as well do it now.
I'm only here for the week.
you, and you worked very hard.
I'm only here for a week, so.
But it strikes me that you are someone who was never young at heart.
Yeah, pretty close. I'd say so.
Right.
Yeah.
Old soul.
Like when all the other 2-year-olds were playing with the rattles, you were concerned about were the rattles going to be put back properly in the box afterwards.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's pretty close.
That is such a good description.
Yeah. No, I think you nailed it.
All whilst having in his milk bottle a Courvoisier or red wine, a nice Pinot Noir, maybe a Chardonnay.
As a 2-year-old.
I didn't get into wine until I was in my 20s.
Cab Sav.
I tried before and it just couldn't go, and then it turned. And I always was told that. It's an acquired taste.
All right. Do we have any other movies?
We had a few.
Some.
There was a lot of demure comments. I've never seen, this is the real Not So Slim Shady in the Paris Jewelers inbox. I have never seen any of the Rocky movies. Born in 87.
Oh, interesting.
That is interesting, given how common they are to see Rocky 1, Rocky 2, Rocky 3, Rocky 4, Rocky 5 on AMC.
Just watch Rocky 4.
Rocky 4. Now, that's the Russian one, right?
Yes.
That's the only one.
How have you not watched
That's the only one.
I wouldn't say it's the only one.
I'm saying
There's
that in jest, of course, but
that's the one to watch.
That's the one. Yes, I agree.
Well, the first Rocky was up for Best Picture. What's that?
If you said a Rocky, I would have been upset.
I think I've seen all the Rockies except for maybe one, because then they made Rocky and Rocky Balboa and all those. But the first Rocky was a drama, and then they became more like kind of less dramatic and a little more cartoony almost, I would say. The tone shifted a little bit. And a little more.
You ever see the Creeds?
I've only seen the first one. It was good though.
And 2 was good too. I still have to see 3.
All right.
I thought the Rockies, there was probably 1 or 2 too many. There's a couple that could be left off the list.
Punches to the head. There was 1 or 2 too many.
Exactly. Well said, Riedrich.
Thank you.
Maddie is neurotic, as Joel chimes in.
Oh, interesting. All right.
And
so,
yeah, go ahead.
Rocky 5, I know, was not good.
No,
Rocky Balboa, people really did like that one.
That was the
they
one.
thought it bounced back rather
That
nicely
was the
with how
one where
bad
there was a
5
video game simulation that identified Rocky as the greatest fighter of all time against the current champion, and the current champion got jealous. So then Rocky, as a 60-year-old, fought him in real life. I think that was the premise for that one. Speaking of screenplay pitches, which is how we started the show.
It all comes full circle, huh?
So Stallone was like, I got to get back in the ring.
Well, and Salty Turtle says, we're talking about these phrases and words and demure. Riddle me this, though. How did words and phrases spread so fast before social media?
For the magic of conversation.
Weird.
Or maybe each elementary school and junior high had its own.
I used to say sweet. That's sweet, man.
Yeah, I still say that sometimes.
Yeah.
I text that to
you
people.
said used to say that?
I still say it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
I think that was from my era. That's like my vintage, 42-year-old saying sweet. Norman the Combine, his is legit.
Oh, hey,
That's
Norm.
legit. Yeah, he says Rocky 4 in theater was legit.
I saw Rocky 4 in theater so Rocky, and then Rocky, which one was the one with Mr. T? I think that was Rocky 3. And Hulk Hogan was in one of them, wasn't he? Like Rocky wrestled as part of a stunt or something like that.
That could be lost from the
Stallone
catalog.
wrote all of them. And he directed 4 out of the 6. He directed 2, 3, 4, and Rocky Balboa.
He was actually quite stubborn about that,
the character
right?
over. Yeah.
Because they wanted to buy it off him, but he said, no, I want to write, or he wrote those and he wanted to star in them as well.
Yeah, he didn't direct Rocky.
No, but he wrote them.
Yes.
What did you say? He wrote 1?
He wrote all of them, and he directed 2, 3, 4, and Rocky Balboa, which is 6, basically. Amazing. I want to know if are we getting any other movie comments?
No, a lot of verbiage though.
A lot of. That's amazing.
A lot of verbiage, yeah.
780-218-9999. We are in the James H. Brown studio, James H. Brown Personal Injury Law Firm, the heavy hitters of injury law. With over 200 years of experience, James H. Brown will get you the settlement you deserve. Visit them at jameshbrown.com today and book your private consultation. Of course, Trent Brown, a Double E alum, and he'll be joining us from time to time here on the Reid Wilkins Show with Jay Milne as well. We are going to talk some amateur football, some high school football, some junior football. You were an alum of which team?
The Edmonton Wildcats.
And how was your era? We were talking about your era with the U of A. How was your era with the Wildcats?
Good. I never won a championship with either team, but with the Wildcats, we lost to the Hilltops both years in the PFC final.
Who didn't lose to the Hilltops?
Many a folk. Many a folk.
What was the coach? Because I did. We were saying yesterday.
Yeah, the bane of my existence, Matty.
I did my my practicum in Saskatoon in the summer of 1999. So I did some story with Sarge.
Tom Sargent. He's still coaching there.
Is he still the coach?
He's still the head coach of the Saskatoon Hilltops.
He must be in his 70s. Not that there's anything wrong with coaching that long.
I don't know. I think he's now just finally retired because he's also a principal, but he's finally just retired. And you would not believe the facility they have out there. They totally renovated their clubhouse. Sargent has his own shower, his own steam room in that facility. I mean, this is crazy stuff.
But so the website, now I don't know if this is updated. The Hilltops website, Coach Sargent is proud to be entering his 33rd year as coach and 26th as head coach. Oh, so I guess when I was there, it could have been his first or second year, or maybe second or third year as the head coach, but he had already been on the staff a few years.
It would have been early in his tenure, yes, but he is now legendary. I mean, he's at the. I think they've won
23 national championships from 1953, and they won last year.
I think 12 under him.
Because Saskatoon was interesting, right? Because they don't have the Riders, but they still supported the Riders, so they hugely supported the Hilltops and
Huskies.
And the Huskies. And the Huskies had Brian Towers as the head coach for the long time, and they didn't win a ton of Vaniers, but they were usually a contender as well. And so they had these two long-time...
Brian Towers, when I was coming from the Wildcats to go to the Bears, he took Jared Winkle and I out for supper at Chili's to recruit us. And he put his hand down on the table, 4 fingers down, 1 Vanier on each ring. And he says, if you give me 5 years, I guarantee you'll get one of these. And Jared and I were,
whoa. Would have you? Did they win one in the next 5 years? Do you remember?
Yeah, sadly, yes.
They did.
Over us.
So why didn't you go?
I'm a homebody. Couldn't leave my mama. Couldn't leave my papa. No, I never had any desire to go away for school. And it wasn't really an option. It wasn't something that was, wasn't allowed to get there or think that way. But in the end, it was the right decision, obviously.
Saskatchewan was in the Vanier Cup final 3 consecutive years, 04, 05, and 06. They lost each of them.
Yeah,
including one at Griffith Stadium in Saskatoon.
But I think right after, or 2 years after I left, they won. If I'm not mistaken, or pretty close after that, they won.
No, they haven't.
They're big losers.
Oh, okay,
Matthew. They can't get it done.
But yeah, see, a couple of legendary coaches. Anyway,
I will say this. Here's what you could take away. Had you went to the Huskies, they would have won.
You would have been the
difference maker.
You would have hit a guy so hard.
They didn't have
won the championship.
They didn't win because of you.
Yeah.
You want to know something? They may have beat you in the Hardy Cup, but you stopped them from getting the Vanier.
Yeah.
You listening to me, Towers?
Here's Matt with a sports update.
Edmonton Elks quarterback McLeod, Bethel Thompson, and wide receiver Curly Gittens Jr. They were named to the Week 13 CFL Honors List. MBT was also named as the top offensive player following his nearly 500-yard 3-touchdown performance as he led the Edmonton Elks to their Labor Day win over the Stampeders. Damar Hamlin will start at safety for the Buffalo Bills. in their week one game against the Arizona Cardinals. It'll mark his first time starting since he went into cardiac arrest during a game back in January of 2023. Toronto Blue Jays fell to the Philadelphia Phillies earlier today 4-2, getting swept in their 2-game series. And it'll be a battle of PGA versus LIV as Rory McIlroy and Scotty Scheffler are set to battle Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau in the next installment of the match, which will take place out in Las Vegas in mid-December. I am Matthew Owanek. You're up to date.
Get all the latest news and takes on everything Oilers with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola on the Oil Stream. Live at noon, Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
If you've been injured in a car collision, let James H. Brown and Associates, Alberta Injury Lawyers, protect your interests. They'll be there every step of the way to help answer your questions and help you get your life back on track. Trust Alberta's precedent-setting injury lawyers with their unrivaled experience, unrivaled results, and unrivaled commitment. When accidents happen, call James H. Brown and Associates, Alberta Injury Lawyers, 780-428-0088, or go to jameshbrown.com.
At A&W, you can start the morning off right with a regular coffee and an egger of your choice for just $4.99. Bacon and egger or sausage and egger on a seeded bun or an English muffin? The choice is yours. But we know it'll be tasty either way. And to make matters even more delicious, this offer is available all day. But don't snooze on this deal. An egger and a regular coffee for only $4.99 is a limited time price. Available at participating A&W restaurants in Greater Edmonton.
Conveniently located 10 minutes west of St. Albert, Wheeler's RV Storage will provide you with safe, secure storage for your RV, boat, or whatever you need to store. Open 7 days a week with gated keypad access and extra large stalls. Now is the time to take advantage of their limited time offer. Buy 6 months and get 1 month free. Now's the time to go to WheelersRVStorage.com. That's Wheeler's RV Storage. Safe, secure storage. Visit them today at WheelersRVStorage.com.
I've got something under my skin, and the itch won't go away. It's my original sin, the poison that I crave.
Okay, so Jay, just before we get to our next guest,
yes,
just explain to the people watching on YouTube why you open a storage room door sometimes.
Oh, this is where the Whale and the Wolf lives. That's the house band for EST.
They live right there.
Yeah, no.
So when we need music coming back from commercial, they just fire it up and you open the door.
Yeah, we have to open it so we can hear them.
Very convenient.
Yeah. And it is slightly cooler in there. But
there's 5 of them in there.
Okay.
Yeah, praise report.
I've never been back in there.
The EST air conditioning seems to be on.
Apparently a breaker?
Yeah. Like
I could do a breaker.
I can deal with that too. I mean, that wasn't earth-shattering. But it was
is that where the breaker is?
That's the electrical storage room for the whole building. For this entire building.
Wait a minute.
I don't know if you should have told Reid that.
I don't know if you should have told me that either. I just find that odd.
Why?
Well, this is our broadcast studio.
Yeah, Dusty picked this room for that. Yeah.
Okay. And that's the electric for the whole building.
Straight up, we've only had it needed access twice in our entire time here of the first year. Well, actually once. Today was the first time in year 2.
I'm going to go in there after the show.
Oh, you could go in.
I'm not going to go in there now.
No, I'm not saying now.
No,
you could.
Go meet the band.
You could honestly. Lucas, Ryan.
Nice guys.
Brandon, Keenan, Joel. They could use some company.
Actually, they have a pretty big show coming up in October, don't they?
Yes.
Where are they playing?
At Midway. Yeah, it's a tribute. It's a Tragically Hip kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay.
I will be there. Maddie will be there.
All right. We are going to welcome. Oh, I you know what I have to do with this gentleman is update my email address because I don't think he has my new one. Tim Anger is the executive director of Football Alberta. Tim, this is at the time of year I usually start getting emails from you. It's Reid at EdmontonSportsTalk.com. So please get rid of the Ched one and put that one in.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that today. I need both of your emails just to make sure that I realize things have changed and I'm a little behind the times here. So please send me the new stuff so I can get you up to date.
We will for sure. I just want to clarify this off the top because I know you and I have talked about it in the past. but Jay and I were talking about it on the show yesterday. Can you explain about that Brian Fryer division? Is this the teams that they sort of declare for a division even more competitive than Tier 1, or how does that work?
Well, actually, they threw the whole thing out last year, and this would be the Alberta Schools Athletic Association, who we work in concert with to offer provincials, and they've gone to a system is very similar to volleyball, basketball. It's the A system, so you got your single A, double A, triple A, 4A, 5A. The Brian Fryer division was something that was created because there's more. All schools at Tier 1 were equal, but some are more equal than others, if you get the drift. And so, in order to get them to declare for a very competitive level, teams would do that. So what they've done instead this year is they've got a 5A, which is for schools 1,400 or bigger, and you can also declare up to that, which schools like LCI and Raymond have done, and that school that division will be ranked at the end of the year. So they'll just, the committee will pick the top 8 to compete in provincials. And that was very similar to what they were doing at the Brian Fryer in the last couple years. And every other division, 4A and 3A, will be regional like it used to be. So if you're the best 3A school in Region X, then you go to provincials.
Okay, so that 5A is very, very large schools, though, that would be expected to have consistently excellent programs. Or a lot of players.
Yeah, you would expect that, but I mean, there's a lot of things that, going on in the big city schools. A lot of schools have a tremendous amount of population, but the demographics don't exactly allow them to put out big time football teams. So you get a mix of that. Like actually, one of the second ranked team in the province only has 250 kids in the school, and that's Raymond. And whatever's in the water down there that makes the magic for them every year is the way it rolls. But they're the opponent that they're probably going to wind up facing later on, if everything plays to the tune it might, would be Harry Ainley, which has 2,500 students.
Tim, and I'll go through some of the rankings with you here, but you brought up Raymond, and I've got to say, I agree with you. I don't know what they drink down there, what they eat. I don't understand. How can a team, because if you've grown up in Edmonton and area, if you've grown up in Alberta and it had any sort of connection to football, you know who the Raymond Comets are. I mean, you think of the players I've played with throughout my career at U of A, the Daryl Salmons, the Bryce Cole-Peters, the Brett Ralphs, no, I didn't play with Brock Ralphs. I'm forgetting the other Ralph. Dustin Ralph, number 2, good slot. Like, what do they do, and how do they keep? I mean, I see they're ranked number 2 in Alberta. And another point to just add on, when you say they declare, as Raymond did and as LCI did, so these are schools that would fall under the 1,400 person population threshold, and they've said, "Nah, we're going to declare to 5A because we can compete with these teams." Is that correct?
Yeah, that's like seriously. Raymond has 1/10 of the school population of Harry Ainley, and all I can tell you in my years of research is that it just matters down there. It just matters to them that much more than everywhere else. Everywhere I've coached up here, the kids are great, and they give it the old college try, but it's almost life and death down there. And you'll notice throughout the years, the last names are the same. I mean, the quarterback right now, I believe it's Brett Ralph's son. So not only did they do great when they're in high school, but they go do what they need to do in their post-secondary careers or whatever, and then they all come back home. And they have families, and it's the same gene pool that you wind up playing every 8 or 9 years that wins provincial championships.
Yeah, I like I said, I can't imagine. And I can. I mean, they keep doing it. I just don't get how they do it. But kudos to them. Kudos for being ranked number 2 in the country, or in the province. And, in looking at the rankings from the 5A through the 4A down to 3A, I mean, you've got local schools, Harry Ainley and Spruce Grove in the 5A, then Salisbury, sorry. Then you've got AOB and Sturgeon in the 4A, Ardrossan, which you're very familiar with in the 3A, that are all ranked. 7 out of 30 ranked teams are from Edmonton and area. I would say that's not bad, because there's a lot of, outlying areas that are represented as well. But as you know, the ebbs and flows of football in Alberta are constantly changing, and it's cyclical, obviously. What way do you think that is swaying this year? Is this swaying more to the southern end of the province or from the northern end?
Well, it's funny. Like you can look at the big cities, for example. You talk about the big schools in Edmonton area. Harry Ainley's been putting in a tremendous effort for 15 to 20 years, and you see them up to the top of the charts.
And another year. Ralph.
Yeah, another Ralph's working there. Well, that might help him, but it goes beyond that. I mean, the school administration, the teachers, the student body. I mean, everybody's into it, and it works. You find you can get a big school, but unless you get support from administration, that's hiring teachers/coaches to make sure that there's people in the hallways to not only recruit the kids but take care of the programs. It's tough. And so you got two schools, Harry Ainley in Edmonton and Salisbury and Sherwood Park, that have been consistently good in that respect for several years now. And then you got some up-and-comers coming up, like Bev Facey was one that was on its way up, but unfortunately they had a tough game last week against St. Joe's, and they lost their best player, so they might be in real trouble. And then there's Jasper Place, massive school, and they've finally got a couple young bucks in there that are really, really doing well. They won an exhibition game against All Saints in Calgary last week, and that's their first win in 4 years, I think. So there's some push here, but if you want to look at a good high school football team, it goes way beyond the athletes. I mean, you have to look at who's coaching it, how many teacher coaches do you have, and what the administration thinks of the program. And so all those teams you see ranked in the top 10, like LCI and Raymond, they're not declaring up unless they got the full support of the school. And so it's a tough thing to do every once in a while to get schools to buy in like that. But when they do, you see results like that.
Now, another thing to note is off your website, which that was great. You had a press release out with the top 10 from each ranking. Now, the big matchups this week, you got Notre Dame at Raymond. Now, Notre Dame and Raymond are not even remote. They're not close. And St. Francis, that's close to, I guess, close-ish to LCI down in Lethbridge. But I'm starting to see this as more of a trend. Is this... and I mean, Salisbury was just down playing Ernest Manning at a neutral site in Red Deer. Is this now what's happening? Is these higher ranked teams are being asked to travel so they can play the best teams in Alberta?
Well, it's part and parcel of the ranking process that the ASWA has set out. For schools like Raymond, for schools like LCI, you can stick around in your league, but you're never going to play a 5A opponent there. So you have to set up exhibition games with the Calgary schools or the Edmonton schools, for that matter, in order for that to do in your rankings. It's very similar to what goes on in the NCAA. I mean, the rankings now matter to get everybody into the playoffs. So strength of schedule matters, common opponents matter. And when you're one of the schools in kind of the outlying areas, you got to go find the games. And so, Raymond is hosting Notre Dame from Calgary this week, and then they're going to host St. Francis the following week. So it's like that's how they put their schedule together, because they're trying to impress people to make sure they're going to be in the top 8 at the end of the year. And it's interesting, though, like you mentioned Notre Dame, because Notre Dame is the only high school, this Notre Dame Calgary is the only high school in Canada that has 2 of their alumni playing in the NFL right now. So, these guys can play too. So it's going to be a real interesting match when they go down there to play Raymond.
Who are the alum? I don't know.
Amen, and boy, his last name gets me. Amen Babinga. He was with the Chargers, and now he's with the Bears. He's a defensive back. He's a linebacker. And then Dean Leonard, who's a defensive back with the Chargers.
Okay, cool.
Very awesome. And I understand that now. What you were saying earlier in the conversation was that it takes more than just talented athletes to make these teams tick. It obviously takes a lot of back end with the administration at each of these schools as well. And obviously we look forward to what is now just a fresh season. But this will wrap up in November or late October with provincials and whatnot. But before we let you go, Tim, and I must thank you for your time. And I got to thank you for what you've done for Football Alberta. I've known you since you were my head coach at Team Alberta back in 1999, where we went out to the Canada Cup in British Columbia. And every time I've spoken with you here at EST, I've always found it appropriate to take the time to thank you. Thank you for what you've done for football in the Edmonton area and obviously throughout the province, but more specifically here. And I know your son is involved out at Ardrossan, and you've put in some time there, which is near and dear to my heart currently. So before I let you go, I just wanted to say thank you for that. And I also wanted to take the chance to go back a bit here and talk about the IFAF World U20 Championships, which rolled through Edmonton in the summer. I ran into there a couple times there. You looked like a bit of a chicken with its head cut off situation because you were running around.
I look busy. I just look busy.
You look busy. You look busy. Okay, well,
I knew what I was doing, but I look busy.
Canada took home the gold over Japan 20-9, and I was fortunate enough to be able to call the USA-Japan game, and my gosh, that was just something to see. But you were very involved, clearly, with that tournament. What were some of the challenges that you experienced throughout that? I mean, obviously, having all these different countries come together for this style of tournament must have posed some challenges, but it went off pretty seamlessly from what I can see. But what were some of the things that you would, rectify or change for next time you had to run an operation like this?
Well, I think, we learned from the year before when we did the Football Canada Cup, very similar event, only with provincial teams. So we troubleshot a lot of things. The city was awesome, like the city of Edmonton, their personnel, because we knew there'd be some challenges with using the LRT as our main form of transportation. But we had 13,528 individual trips up and down the line, and not a single incident. And so the transit security, as well as the administration there, they made sure of that. The stadium was awesome. They did a great job of accommodating us. Of course, we had to change it to American Field, which looked like a postage stamp in Commonwealth Stadium.
Boy, did it ever.
I think our biggest challenge, believe it or not, and this is not a knock, this is a great thing for the city, but the Oilers really sucked a lot of oxygen out of everything that was going on in the late spring and the early summer. So our ability to get the word out, as much as people were talking about it, I think even my own sons were telling me after the Oilers run, like, we're exhausted. We're broke and we're exhausted. And so the ability to get people in the stands was kind of one of our biggest things. We were happy with the crowds, but it could have been much better. And I'm not blaming the Oilers, because I enjoyed the ride just like everybody else. But it was clear that Edmonton was tired. We'd had our moment, and we needed to take a break. And unfortunately, my event fell right there.
Tim, we always love having you on the show. Of course, we'll have you on throughout the season and feature some high school players and coaches as we move along as well. Thanks a lot for doing this.
My pleasure, guys. Good luck with your new venture there.
Tim Enger, Executive Director of Football Alberta. I went to the gold medal game, Canada-Japan. Well, Canada wound up with two teams. And yeah, the American field took a little bit of getting used to. And I am within, of course, I was involved in the Oilers coverage and everything like that. But yeah, it was so dominating for them to go to the Stanley Cup final that some other events probably suffered a little bit. Like when the Cup final ended, I think a lot of people were like, okay, I like sports, but I'm not going to watch a game for a while. I need to catch up on some other things in my life or save some money for sure. So, but that they did a great job with that event. And I'm glad you asked him about Raymond. It's about 4,200 people, and they play at the highest level, at least in football and basketball. I don't know about anything else. I remember several years ago, when I was doing Golden Bears and Pandas play-by-play, the 4A provincials were in Edmonton, and they asked me to do some play-by-play for a webcast. And I did Raymond against one of the Calgary schools. I can't remember who it was, in a semifinal. And Raymond's, the Calgary team adjusted to it, but Raymond got a bunch of points off it in the first half. Whenever the Calgary team would attempt a shot, two Raymond players would just run down the court. Okay, you're lessening your chances of getting the rebound, but you still got three guys back to rebound, and then if it goes in, it doesn't matter anyway. But then as soon as Raymond would get the ball, they would just throw it down without even looking, because they knew they had two guys down there, and they got all these free points off these amazing buckets. But that is an incredible community. I mean, obviously a lot of Mormon, a very Mormon community. And they've just, not that there's anything to do with the sports thing or not, but it's, I think, a very tight-knit community, and they just continue to excel in sports.
It reminds me of like the small, Texas city you see that you see on these movies, these Friday Night Light reminiscent.
Everybody's into it.
Everyone's in. The city shuts down on game night, and it's something where you dream of playing for Raymond, and you dream of being a Comet. And iron sharpens iron. You know, like the better the players are, the better you're going to have to be to compete within your own school.
And then if you're a kid growing up in that, you got to be that.
You're going to work your tail off to get to that point.
I remember when I was going to Nate, so late 90s, one of my good friends played at Sal, and they made the provincial final against Raymond.
Yes.
And the game was in Raymond. Or maybe they played them in a semi, but they played them in a very important provincial game. I can't remember if it was the final or the semi. And he said, when our bus pulled into Raymond, the whole town was waiting for us. And they weren't happy to see us.
No, as they went.
And I said, so what happened to the game? He's like, we lost 40-0.
That sounds about right.
And he goes like, I hate to say it, I was pretty sure we didn't have a chance. And we got onto the field, and a few plays in, I knew we didn't have a chance. And this was not an early round game. I mean, this would be
this was near the end.
That's how much better they were. Anyway, it's an amazing story.
Amen. Bongbi Miga.
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with that player.
Bongba. Amen. Yeah.
And I appreciate you trying to say it. So he's from Notre Dame, Calgary.
Notre Dame, Calgary, originally from Lagos, Nigeria. He then went to Oklahoma State from 2016 to 2020. Chuba Hubbard went there.
Play with Chuba, yeah.
Yeah, and he was a CFL draft round 1, pick number 8 by the Calgary Stampeders. But he was also then drafted by the Los Angeles Chargers. He played there from 21 to 23, and he's now currently active roster status with the Chicago Bears.
Okay.
As he's too big to be a defensive back.
I think he said linebacker. Didn't he?
He's got to be a linebacker. Yeah, amazing, right?
Yeah. Well, and Chuba's amazing. Still playing for the Panthers. Chuba Hubbard.
Absolutely.
I think do people know in this market? I think if we just say Chuba, they know who we're talking about.
I think they know.
Yeah.
He's
Alfonso,
a former FAC Falcon, just like me. Falcon,
you
awesome.
showed him the way.
I must have led the way.
Here's Matthew Awanek. Speaking of awesome.
Edmonton Elks quarterback McLeod Bethel Thompson and wide receiver Curly Gittin Jr. They were named Week 13 CFL on the CFL honor list for Week 13. MBT. He was also named as the top offensive player following his 486-yard, 3-touchdown performance as he led the Elks to their Labor Day win over the Stampeders. Bombers quarterback Zach Collaros, he was QB1 at practice today as Winnipeg prepares for the rematch with the Riders on Saturday. Collaros left the game this past Sunday in the first half after taking a helmet-to-helmet hit. Toronto Blue Jays were looking to split a 2-game series against the Phillies after they lost Game 1 yesterday, although they fell in Game 2 today 4-2. It's the lone game finished in the majors, although a bunch of games are now underway, which includes the White Sox up 5-1 over the Orioles, that one in the top of the 5th. Reds are up 9-1 over the Astros, that one in the top of the 3rd, while the Mets lead the Red Sox 4-0 in the bottom of the 2nd. Coming up next on the Reid Wilkins Show with Jay Milne, they will wrap up their second ever show. I'm Adam Wanek. You're up to date.
Don't feel like working? Join the Hangout. You never know what you might hear. Weekday mornings 9 to 11 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
Fuse Sausage makes their meat with nothing but the best local ingredients. From chicken, beef, and pork, their gluten-free sausages are packed with flavor. Get your 10% discount when mentioning Edmonton Sports Talk in store at 6736 99th Street, or use the code EST when shopping online at fusesausages.ca. Plus, you get free delivery on orders over $100 or more. Find them at 6736 99th Street. Fuse Sausage. You can't beat our meat.
Celebrate the grand opening of Sit and Sleep and discover a revolutionary way to shop for mattresses. Stop in today for a free pressure point scan using cutting-edge technology so sleepologists can identify the perfect mattress for you. Right now, you'll get free local delivery on any mattress over $5.99 and receive a bamboo cooling mattress protector. Get grand opening savings now with every mattress on sale. Join us on location today for the celebrations at Sit and Sleep in South Common next to Planet Fitness.
Hey Edmonton, ready to take advantage of lower rates and better pricing? South Fort Chevrolet in Fort Saskatchewan has you covered. From rugged trucks to sleek SUVs. And with over 40 years in business, you can trust that you're getting the best deal on your new ride. As the proud title sponsor of The Nielsen Show, EST listeners can drive a little to save a lot with South Fort Chevrolet's transparent pricing and down-to-earth sales team. Visit us today in Fort Saskatchewan or online at southfortchev.com.
Hey, thanks, Matthew. I have to wait for Matthew to point at me so I know when my mic is on. What do we have coming in, buddy?
Well, a couple of people. Norman at Combine again. Very happy to hear about the. Thank you guys for this. Local sports talk is back. I believe that's in reference to having Tim Anger on and talking local high school football, which is part of our MO here.
Absolutely.
It is, because it's something that we're both passionate about, that we both care about. So you're going to hear, we were talking pre-show today, you're going to hear a lot of Golden Bear stuff. You're going to hear a lot of, and if you hear something that, or you see or something that we should talk about, sports related in Edmonton, Reid at edmontonsportstalk.com would be where to send that. And yeah, we're here to talk about what you want to listen to. So also Casey says, hey, I'm a hockey dad, not football, but I love the high school football talk. So thank you for chiming in on the Paris Jewelers inbox. This is something that I wanted to spend a little bit more time on, and possibly we can down the road, Reid. But, you know, this is our second show together. We've been hanging out a lot since, since things changed in your life. Obviously, things have changed in my life before yours. But I wanted to ask you, and I wanted to spend the last, the last segment here of this show, allowing you to say a few words about, your personal journey here over the last 3-4 months. Well, obviously, I'll let you get to it, but it's obviously longer than that. But just, for people that haven't heard, I know you were on the Hangout and had a chance to explain this, but on your show, the Reid Wilkins Show, can you explain just what went through your head and why you decided at this juncture in your life to make this change?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I've been asked that a lot in varying degrees over the last couple of months. I guess I resigned from 6:30 Ched 2 days after Game 7. It didn't get to be public for a few weeks, and then my last show there was July 18th. EST unveiled me at the Nasty Bash on July 26th. It has been kind of interesting. I guess this opportunity, and I talked yesterday about how much respect I have for Dustin. So, he's the one that really got the ball rolling here. It was just too good to turn down. And, I've mentioned that in April I turned 50. So I guess am I 50 and a half yet? If not, I will be soon. But, I just looked at it and I thought, this is good. Like, I thought to myself, I can't just say, oh, I've had the same job now for X number of years, and I did Inside Sports and the Oilers broadcast for 11 seasons. I mean, that's a good chunk of my life and career. But as I looked at all the factors, I thought what Dustin is giving me the opportunity to do, or would give me the opportunity to do, is a better job. It just really appealed to me, and it just came down to, you got to go for it. And really, at the end of the day, it's not like I was moving to the other side of the world like Leon Draisaitl had to do to play junior hockey, as I referenced off the top of the show. I wasn't changing what I do. I'm still hosting a talk show. Some of the circumstances were different. The time was different. But I looked at it and I thought, wow, that is really cool. That's a really awesome opportunity. And I should say, and I know I talked about this on the Hangout a few weeks ago, so I don't want to get totally into it again. But things had changed at Ched and at Chorus, the company that owns Ched. I mean, I think if you'd said to me 3 years ago or even 2 years ago, like if you would have came up to me in the summer of 2022 and said to me, in 2 years, you will not be at 6:30 Ched, I would have said, you're crazy. Then I must have won the lottery. Because I love that job and I loved working there. And I didn't leave because all of a sudden I hated it, but some circumstances had changed. And I went into some of those a while ago, and most people understand, I think, at least on a surface level, what those are. So once I weighed everything, I thought the only reason for me to stay at Ched is just out of fear of making a change, or just some weird sense of like, oh, I can't do something different at this point in my life. Well, I can. So I did. And it's been awesome.
No, and
does that make sense?
It does. And yeah, I mean, anybody that's listened to you prior would know that, you had a show that was awesome. It was great. It was a chance for you to say your words, and I think they're great words, and you were a supporter of local sports here, and that was almost taken away from you. And that's now what you get back, and that's why you're here. That's why we are all so happy that you're here. Just quickly in the Paris or in the Nasty Chat, Casino Dealer Jay makes a great statement. You have the chance to make the show exactly what you want it to be. That's such a lucky and awesome thing to be a part of. And that's almost what you summarize there in saying that, yeah, this is the opportunity to get, the Reid Wilkins show back and going in the right direction that you can frame it.
Well, thanks for that message. And I mean, look, I don't think I have a huge ego, but it is kind of cool to have a show named after you.
I think you deserve it, buddy. I think you deserve it.
It is kind of neat. And obviously there's a lot of people involved that also make it what it is. But I mean, we're 2 shows in, and that's what I'm excited about. And I said this to some people yesterday, like there was so much on September 3rd. But I was also like, that's show 1. Where are we going to go? I mean, Inside Sports wasn't the same for all 11 years. You change a little bit and grow as a person and as a broadcaster. We're going to do that together, and with Matt and Dustin, and Zach's going to be on our show a lot. So that's what I'm excited about, is the day-to-day and then the growth over the years and what's going to happen. And yes, it will be not just mine, but everybody's at EST, and what's it going to become. So that opportunity is really exciting. And yes, from a pure statistical standpoint, it is more airtime. So it is, more opportunity to maybe explore some things. And I do think only having an hour of Inside Sports the last season, we didn't talk as much Oil Kings. And I include Dave Campbell. He's the producer of that show, still will be. We didn't talk as much Oil Kings. We didn't talk as much U of A. We didn't even talk as much Elks. And that station has the rights to that team.
Yeah.
We didn't even have as much time for that. And I should say, I do think it's going to go back to 2 hours. I was kind of told that when they made a bit of an effort to get me to stay after I resigned. I do think it'll go back to 2 hours, which it should. But this is just better. This is just better for where I'm at right now.
Well, and as you know, and as we all know, listening, viewing, watching, podcasting, this is the landscape of the future. This is where it's heading. You'd be naive to think otherwise. But live sports isn't going away.
True.
The Oilers aren't going away. The Elks aren't going away. I want to ask you, Reid, is that something that you're going to miss? Is that, being a part of what you did for so many years on the pre and post game show, covering the Oilers and doing that? Are you going to miss that?
That's a good question. I hate to say this, but in terms of your actual question, will I miss being on the Oilers broadcast? I guess I would have to say I don't know, because the season hasn't started yet. And I don't know how it's going to feel if there's some exciting game, halfway through the third period, and instead of preparing to talk about it in 40 minutes, I won't be talking about it for 18 hours. That'll be different. I will say it was pretty cool to be part of the rights holder for the Oilers. I can't deny that. And honestly, in terms of making the decision, that was the toughest part of the decision, was leaving the Oilers broadcast behind, and especially now because they got a great team. There's a certain game day energy that, yes, can be a little intoxicating, especially the home games and especially in the playoffs. Like you're in Studio 99 2 hours before the game. Like you feel the build. You can sense the crowd coming in. You can sense the excitement. And then, as I said many times, during the playoffs and during the summer, in Studio 99 after games, after the wins, after defeating Dallas, after winning Game 6 to force, like just being a part of that overwhelming joy. And again, the immediacy of we're the station that had the game. we're broadcasting after the game, working with Rob Brown, who is incredible. I mean, I'm not going to say anything negative about the people I used to work with because I don't work with them anymore. Like he was awesome. So there's things that I value and will cherish having had the experience. Now, having said all that, will I miss it? I really don't know, because I did it. I knew what I was leaving, and I did it 11 seasons. It's not like I did it a year and and took off. But the other side of that is, hey, if they play an 8:30 game in LA on a Tuesday night, I'm not working until 1 a.m. I'm going to watch the game and then go to bed and then talk about it the next day. So there's two sides to everything. I totally get the question, but I do think, Jay, if I do miss it, it's not going to be to the point where I regret my decision. I think sometimes you just might think, hey, you know what? That was pretty cool. I got to do that. It might be cool to be doing it tonight, but I don't think I'm going to feel that way 82 times a year. It might just be little pangs or you know what? Whoever gets that job, I'll be like, hey, embrace it and enjoy it. I hope they're having a great experience like I did, because any good stuff I've left behind, I'm going to get good stuff here. So I don't view it as any sense of loss or anything like that. It's something I did, and it's a chapter that is closed now.
Well, I mean, if you're looking for some other broadcast to cover and be a part of, I know that we are the rights holder for the annual EST Combine, which will be happening next year, where we'll have several of our staff, going out running 40s, lifting weights, doing various sporting activities, and we'd love you to be the official host of the EST Combine.
You don't want me lifting weights, that's for sure.
We don't want to do that. No, we don't want to do that. But Reid, that was well said. I wanted you to have an opportunity to say that because it's an incredible story. And I think for you EST diehards, listeners, first time listening, it doesn't really matter. This is something that you're going to get used to, is we're going to be able to talk about real stuff.
Yeah.
It's not always going to be shticky, sporty, whatever you want to call it. There's a time and place to talk about real things, and that was it. And Reid, I'm very happy to be able to be sitting across the desk from somebody that I've admired my whole life and listened to for as long as I can or could. So this is, and I think as far as our first two shows have gone, Reid, is this something that you would say, this is what we should expect?
Absolutely. I was so
it's gonna
happy
zig, it's gonna
yesterday.
sag.
I was so happy yesterday just to be back at work, and like I love being a talk show host, and I've said this a lot this summer. I feel very lucky again to get this opportunity at where I'm in my age and my career, and I love being a talk show host. I love the craft of broadcasting, and I think being a talk show host pretty much combines everything that you need to do, like the writing, the presentation, the behind the scenes work, the knowledge, the contacts, all that kind of stuff. So I love that. Like I know a lot of people say to me, well, you're so lucky to cover sports for a living or interview Connor McDavid or whoever. I'm like, yeah, I get that, but I'm just lucky to get to put this together and do it every day and then do it the next day and try to improve on it. And I'm still learning so much about how to do it and how to improve at it that I'm getting emotional here. I feel very lucky. I feel very fortunate.
Well, and the listeners chiming in are also feeling the same way. Bronze Solo, Reid, super stoked for you and your opportunity. I am one who is disappointed that your show on Ched kept getting chopped down in time. It's great to be able to listen to you again. Congrats. VR Montenegro says, you're going to live with the nasties, meow. We're going to take care of you.
Yeah.
That's
good.
That's just, and it is fun. It's awesome. It's great. I'm stoked. I'm excited for every day. I'm excited for tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's the start of the NFL season.
Guaranteed to be correct Super Bowl predictions from all of us.
Screw ups.
We're going to do our goof ups for today.
I did have one. I reported that Dave Campbell said in the last 7 games, McLeod Bethel Thompson has 920 yards. That is not correct. I don't know what the answer is, but that was not correct. Natty?
He corrected it and said it was 3. He meant 3 games.
3. Maddie, you had
so
one.
Dave actually is the one that goofed
Dave
up.
goofed.
Oh, I wonder if he's
But I read
listening
his
right
goof.
now.
I should have known better.
I put up a Tim Enger graphic that had football spelled with 2 T's instead of 2 O's, but that was from somebody else that I just used. So like you, it's actually someone else's mistake that I didn't double
Which
check.
you have to take blame for it. Reid,
I got too distracted by the power outages.
Well, that's new to you. That generally
we
didn't
got
happen.
knocked off the air, Jed. It doesn't happen often.
Doesn't happen
It's just
often
weird.
here either.
No, it's just a weird thing that happened. And we were luckier than a large portion of the city. So,
yeah,
we're okay.
could be worse.
All right. Thank you to Matthew Awanek for being our producer this afternoon. We are back at 3 tomorrow afternoon. The station is back live at 6 a.m. with the Nielsen Show. He's Jay. I'm Reid. Thanks for listening.
Edmonton Sports Talk delivers a mass audience of key, influential customers to your business, all while you associate your company brand with the biggest names, the hottest sports news, and teams from every league around the globe. Oilers and Elks, NHL, NFL, Major League Baseball, and the association, Formula One, soccer, golf, oh sweet mama! The excitement is palatable on Edmonton Sports Talk. It's where fans go to get their sports fix and where our partners find the most loyal consumers. Contact us today and see how our team on Edmonton Sports Talk can score the biggest goals for your business. With various advertising options available, email business@edmontonsportstalk.com or head to our website and send a message at edmontonsportstalk.com.